Chapter 2710, Heavenly Tribulation Bombs. Chapter 2710, Heavenly Tribulation Bombs. Long Fei would definitely do what he had promised. Who was the leopard girl? What did it have to do with him? Was she one of the beauty's quests in the super mission, the Seven Meridians diagram? I don't know. All of this was unknown to Long Fei. However, he had to do all this for the leopard girl because he didn't want to make her sad. From her eyes, Long Fei could feel that no matter what he did, he wouldn't be able to replace the position that the man from the universal realm had in her heart. Irreplaceable. He had to do it. As long as he was happy. Following the release of Idea, the aura of power from Long Fei's body directly surged into the sky. The slovenly old man's eyes sank. Kid, have you gone mad? Your body is unable to withstand it at all right now. You'll die. Stop right now. Stop quickly. He never thought that Long Fei would actually use his own flying into the virtual. His body was simply unable to withstand the baptism of heavenly tribulation. Once he couldn't take it anymore, he would die and vanish into thin air. The baptism of heavenly tribulation. Wash away the lead on the Tsanglan plain, wash away the restraints of law, and use a new body to enter a new world. However, the baptism of heavenly tribulation was extremely powerful. If it were simple, then no one at the great complete realm would dare to stir up heavenly tribulation. Furthermore, Long Fei was currently seriously injured and was almost on the verge of death. This kind of body state was completely unable to withstand the baptism of heavenly tribulation. The leopard girl said anxiously, "If you stop, you will die." The tears in the corner of his eyes were uncontrollable. Long Fei smiled lightly and said, "Don't worry, I will definitely accomplish what I promised you." Long Fei was really afraid. It was not because he was afraid of the heavenly tribulation turning him into ashes. He was afraid of the tears of the leopard girl, and also afraid of the pain of the backlash from the black and white power. If that was the case, then there was nothing he could do. He wanted to do what he had promised as much as possible. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The clouds above the ninth heaven started to move, and the clouds started to move as lightning started to wreak havoc, constantly flashing, causing the entire Tsanglan continent to shake. Someone is transcending tribulation. Someone is triggering the celestial tribulation. Who is it? Is it the president of the Tsanglan College? It's at the peak of the blue mist. Who exactly is it? This heavenly tribulation. It seems to be extraordinary, as if even the 9-story heaven had been stirred. Countless people from the Tsanglan city flew in the air, staring at the summit of blue mist. Countless people were shocked. How many years had it been since someone triggered the heavenly tribulation? The only thing he was afraid of was being smashed into smithereens by the heavenly tribulation. There was nothing at all. The powerhouse of the Great Perfection stage were willing to exhaust their lifespan rather than be burnt to ashes by the divine tribulation. Seeing the roiling clouds above Tsanglan continent, many powerhouses clenched their fists tightly, their eyes locked. Rumble. An explosion sounded in the air. At the peak of the blue mist, violent winds raged. Long Fei's disheveled hair flew recklessly across the air, and a powerful force came crushing down from above her mind. Looking at the rolling sky, Long Fei heavily shouted, "Come!" Rumble, crack. The rolling clouds produced another sky-piercing explosion, and the lightning was like a huge python. The slovenly old man stared at the scene before him, his heart trembling. His pupils contracted, and fear began to rise in his heart. This was heavenly tribulation? Gudong! He heavily swallowed his saliva. He had never seen a celestial tribulation before. I don't even know what kind of power it is. But now, it seemed the celestial tribulation was simply too powerful. Formidable strength. The slovenly old man said heavily, Quick, retreat. You won't be able to take it. Faster. The leopard girl also advised, "Can you stop? I'm not going to the universal realm. I'm not going. I'll stay here." Long Fei grinned and laughed softly, saying, "I promised you, I will definitely do it. Also, I can't stop. Haha." How could the activation of heavenly tribulation come to a halt? Longface shifted his gaze to the slovenly old man and said, "A person undergoing a tribulation should be fearless. There should not be a trace of fear in your heart, and any trace of fear will cause your mind to collapse. Bring it on." With a roar, Long Fei, who was seated cross-legged, suddenly stood up, one finger pointing to the sky. His index finger moved, the corner of his mouth slightly hooked up, forming a very handsome posture. Long Fei said solemnly, "If you have the guts, go ahead and hack this daddy to death." Walala! A series of sounds of space shattering exploded. The entire sky seemed to be splitting apart. At the center of the vortex, a ray of Xuanabai's light shot towards the top of Long Fei's head like a bolt of lightning. It was extremely huge and practically covered the entire Songlan city. Too powerful. Was he undergoing a tribulation? This was killing. The light in the sky was blinding. The powerhouse floating in the air was instantly crushed and fell down. The entire Songlan city was in a state of panic as countless people covered their heads and scurried away. They were frantically fleeing for their lives. "Quickly run. The heavenly tribulation is coming. Run. I won't be able to protect the Songlan city anymore. Oh my God, this is heavenly tribulation. This is the legendary God's suffering force. This is the power of destruction." Fighters ran, children cried, women screamed. Songlan City was thrown into chaos. The power of the heavenly tribulation was too strong. With such a strike, the entire Songlan City would probably be reduced to ruins. Long Fei's gaze tensed up, his body continuously sunk, his knees trembling uncontrollably. At this moment, in the instant the first heavenly tribulation descended, it was as though a heavy sky had pressed down on his shoulders, heavily crushing him as if wanting to crush him to his knees. The weight of 100,000 mountains? The weight of 1,000,000 mountains? Tens of thousands of mountains. Long Fei's body had countless of wounds on it, and just like that, the pain caused the wound to burst open even more. Fresh blood violently spurted out again, and with his knees slightly bent, Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he cursed loudly. "You want me to kneel? You're not even F*King qualified." The moment he exerted strength, a root took root beneath his feet. In an instant, Long Fei firmly stabbed into the ground. At this moment, the sky seemed to be enraged. The first heavenly tribulation heavily attacked. Xuanabai's light aura instantly enveloped Long Fei, or more accurately speaking, it should be covering half of the Songlan continent. Everything was within the dazzling light. Everything was white. As for Long Fei, who was at the center of the heavenly tribulation, at this moment his physical body, his mind, his sea of consciousness, everything within his body was violently surging. Long Fei's eyes suddenly bulged. He clenched his fists tightly. Crack! The sound of joints bursting exploded. At the same time, he tightly clenched his teeth as if he was about to shatter them. Ah! 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 Endless power exploded in his body. They exploded. The scene was like a 100-cannon bombardment. His entire body felt unspeakably uncomfortable. In just a few seconds, it felt as if several centuries had passed. Long Fei roared. He roared with all his might. Buzz! The moment the white light returned, Long Fei's body sank and both of his hands directly pressed against the ground. Blood continuously gushed out of his throat. It's too F*King unbearable. Chapter 2711, Dragon Scale Splitting. Chapter 2711, Dragon Scale Splitting Rumble. Rumble, rumble. The white light slowly returned to the 9 heavens, and the sound of explosions slowly spread in the sky. The white light disappeared. Everything in Songlan City was normal. There wasn't the slightest bit of damage. I'm still alive. Ha ha. I'm not dead. I'm still alive. I'm not dead. Woo. Woo woo. I thought I was going to die. I'm still alive. Many people hugged their heads as they cried out in grief. There were also many people cheering, celebrating that they were still alive. In front of the power of heavenly tribulation, they appeared so small and insignificant, their fates in the hands of others. No one was affected by the white light, except for the tribesmen. Hoo 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 hoo, hoo 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 hoo. Long Fei gasped so much that blood seemed to spurt out from his wounds. His face was pale white. Both of his hands supported himself on the ground, continuously dripping blood from the corner of his mouth. The internal organs beneath his chest were still rolling. Within the sea of consciousness, the power within the mind was still surging, unable to take care of itself. You, are you all right? Seeing Long Fei's pained expression, she clenched her fists tightly, her nails digging into her flesh and blood dripping down. She hated herself. He hated himself for being weak. It was useless to hate him. Even though he was unable to help Long Fei in his previous life, he was still a burden to others in his current life. Even in this reincarnated life, her talent was still the same. Long Fei smiled lightly, shook his head, and said, "It's fine. Just this kind of heavenly tribulation isn't enough to kill Lousy, he. He would never tell anyone about his pain. If he was a man, he had to endure it." The slovenly old man said anxiously, "This is just the first heavenly tribulation and is a testing God's suffering force. The following speed will be very fast and won't give you any time to breathe. You can't continue." The slovenly old man did not know what to do. He did not know how to help Long Fei. The fearlessness, the way he treated the heavenly tribulation like trash, made him admire it to the extreme. No one could do that. Long Fei replied, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." The leopard girl shook her head. "I'm not going to the universal realm. I'm not going. I'm begging you, can you stop? I'm not going, please." Her tears never stopped. Long Fei looked at her, at the mission exclamation mark floating above her head. It still had not been activated. Long Fei thought, "Seems like it really is so. There's a person in her heart that I am destined to never be able to replace." Zhang Xian smiled bitterly in his heart. However, Long Fei did not let go as he gently wiped away the tears on the leopard girl's face and said, "Don't worry, I will be fine. I will send you to Universal Realm. You are a leopard girl. You are a wild panther. How can you cry? After this, you can't cry anymore," Long Fei said indifferently. The leopard girl bit her tongue. She wanted to cry, but when she saw Long Fei's expression, she forced herself to stop. Suddenly, she discovered that the man's eyes were very familiar, as if he was the person she was looking for in her heart. "That's more like it." Long Fei looked at the leopard girl while holding back her tears. He turned and stood up and heavily said, "Come, use all of your strength on this daddy. Rumble, rumble, rumble." The sky began to rage again, not giving the leopard girl a chance to think. Above 9 days, the center of the rolling clouds was like a divine eye. Divine light lingered and white light flashed. Then, the rolling clouds began to crack. Kacha, kacha, rumble. Yet another massive bolt of lightning descended. The corners of Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he pointed to the sky and shouted, "Come!" Boom! The second god's suffering force bombarded down. The leopard girl was sent flying by a powerful shockwave. The slovenly old man was also sent flying by that powerful force. White light enveloped him. The lightning from the ninth heaven struck right on top of Long Fei's head and directly seeped into his body from the top of his head. Boom! Boom! His entire body frantically rolled. Puff! Long Fei spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. It was as if all the skin on his body had split apart, and the power in his body had turned his body transparent. Veins, veins. A light smash would cause it to crack. Ah! Long Fei roared out. Again. Boom! The third celestial tribulation descended. Boom! The fourth heavenly tribulation has descended. Boom! 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 One heavenly tribulation after another came crashing down on Long Fei's head, each time crushing him heavily, wanting to crush Long Fei to his knees. But Long Fei endured every single time. Every time he did, the wounds on his body would rupture. Boom! The 37th bolt. Rumble! It exploded on Long Fei's body. Crack! With a crisp sound, as though his bones had been fractured. Long Fei's pupils dilated and his entire body shuddered. He could not help but let out a painful scream. Just a moment ago, the blood-red dragon's scale cracked open. It was as if the scales had been pulled out and were dripping with blood. It was incomparably painful. Long Fei's entire body was covered in blood-colored scales. This was an extremely strong defense, but he couldn't take it anymore either. Rumble. The 38th heavenly tribulation descended. Kacha, kacha, ka. The number of blood-colored scales is shattered and rose into the air. The pain was akin to using a pair of pincers to catch a scale and pull it out, as if he was trying to pull his nails out. Pain. An indescribable pain. He was in so much pain. It was too hard to bear. Moreover, ever since the first scale had cracked, the blood-colored dragon scales on Long Fei's body started to loosen up, as if they were falling and separating one after another. The leopard girl shouted from the side, "Stop! No! Stop! I'm begging you. God, please don't be so cruel. God, I beg of you." The leopard girl cried like she was in tears. The slovenly old man sat paralyzed on the ground, his eyes lifeless. Heaven calamity. How can it be like this? Too strong. There is no such heavenly tribulation recorded in the entire Songlan continent. Why is that so? Rumble, rumble, rumble. Each celestial tribulation was faster than the last. Long Fei stood there, the dragon scales on his body breaking bit by bit. His entire body was now covered in blood, and under the cover of blood, the curse marks on his body became even more sinister. Long Fei also looked abnormally eerie. His aura fluctuated from time to time. Long Fei looked like a dead man. He stood there motionlessly, allowing the heavenly tribulation to strike him. Dead? Everyone looked at him and asked, "Is he dead? He should be dead. I haven't moved for such a long time. He should be dead." Chapter 27:12 FUCK and enough? Chapter 27:12 FUCK and enough? Dozens of waves of heavenly tribulation struck down. Long Fei remained motionless. There was no reaction at all. Even the sound of pain could not be heard. He was like a dead man. In addition, his entire body was covered in blood, and every inch of his body was filled with wounds. Even his eyes were filled with blood, and it was impossible to discern his expression. Was it pain or die? Rumble. Yet another heavenly tribulation descended. Crack, crack. The last few dragon scales on Long Fei's body cracked. There was no cry of pain. Everything seemed to have gone numb. It's the 80th. It's already at the 80th God's suffering force. There's still one more. Is he dead? Not a single movement. What's going on? In the history of the Songlan continent, there has never been such a heavenly tribulation in the Nine Sky Force. It is simply too cruel. Who can endure such a heavenly tribulation? Passing the tribulation? I'm afraid no one in the Songlan continent would dare to go through the tribulation again. This is King courting death. The Songlan city was silent. Everyone looked at the direction of the peak of the blue mist towards the sky. The roiling clouds above the 9 heavens were still there. This meant that the calamity was not over yet. The last of the 99 sets was the most powerful and possessed the power to exterminate all. It could be said, it was much stronger than the combined power of the 80 heavenly tribulations. If this one attack was used, then all of them would be annihilated. At the peak of the blue mist, the leopard girl looked at the crumbling Long Fei and said slightly, "No, let's go home. I'll take you home." As he spoke, he moved forward. However, the celestial tribulation had yet to come to an end, and the leopard girl was simply unable to approach it. As she drew near, she was sent flying by a surge of energy. Bang! The leopard girl's body flew away and landed heavily on the ground. The leopard girl acted as if it didn't hurt at all. She crawled back up and ran back up again, saying, "Let's go home. I'm not going to the universal realm. Let's go home." Bam! Yet another knock flew. The leopard girl smashed into the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. However, she crawled back up and walked forward once more as she said, "Let's go home. We're going home." Bam! He was sent flying once again. The slovenly old man's gaze tightened. The celestial tribulation is still continuing. there's still one last thing. It is also the most powerful Tao. What should we do? Master, Immortal Master Lu Yuan, tell me, what should we do now? He was completely panicked. He didn't know what to do in this situation. At this moment, Pucci, a mouthful of black blood flowed out from the corner of Long Fei's mouth. He raised his eyes with much difficulty, looked at the clouds that were rolling in the sky, and said softly, "Is this all you've got? So weak." The voice was low. However, Long Fei's voice was like a thunderclap that exploded in everyone's minds. "He's still alive. He's still alive. Ha ha. He's still alive. He's too strong. My God, how is this possible? 80 gods suffering force S bombarding a heavily injured person. How freaking abnormal is this guy? Did you hear that? What was he saying just now? What are you saying to the heavenly tribulation? So weak. Ha ha." These words were too king cool and unbridled. They were simply looking down on the heavenly tribulation. Ha ha. I'm too excited. It feels so good. Even heavenly tribulation is being looked down upon. Ha ha. The baptism of heavenly tribulation creates a rule. Do you want to stop the martial artist from becoming stronger? It doesn't exist. Ha ha ha. Too weak. The word weak and explosive had ignited the unwillingness in the hearts of all martial artists. That kind of heart that would never back down in a life or death situation. These few words were like a bucket of chicken blood being poured into his body. Rise. There's still the last one. We have to endure it. You have to hold on. F***CK, his son of 8B***TCH's heavenly tribulation. You have to hold on. At this time, almost everyone wanted Long Fei to resist. Everyone looked at Long Fei with extreme excitement and nervousness. His heavily injured body activated the divine retribution. Instead of decreasing the power of the heavenly tribulation, it would be the Nine Sky Force. Its power was indescribably strong. Just like that, Long Fei endured. It was incomparably firm. Now, there was only one tribulation left. This was the most important one, and the most powerful one of the 99 sets. The combined power of the first 80 paths of divine retribution. Boom, boom, boom. The clouds above the 9 heavens began to swirl, and streams of power began to erupt from the 9 heavens. Slowly, they were released, and the entire Ash Wolf continent was shaken by this explosive sound. It was as though this power seemed to be able to destroy Songlan continent. Countless people were swallowing their saliva, staring at the sky while clenching their fists tightly, as if they were undergoing a heavenly tribulation. The last one, the corner of Long Fei's eyes slightly narrowed. At this moment, no one knew how bad he was feeling. No one knew how weak he was right now. It was as if he could easily be insta-killed by a level 1 monster. It was painful, very painful. However, he had to endure it. He had to be strong. In the end, even if it costs his life, he has to endure it. Long Fei's heart sank, then stared at the leopard girl and said, "I'm ready. I'll be able to send you to Universal Realm soon." Finished. Long Fei smiled faintly. The task was still not activated. The exclamation mark on the leopard girl's head was still there. Last hope. It should be gone. Long Fei did not regret it. The leopard girl cried and shook her head. She kept telling Long Fei to stop and kept saying that she wasn't going to the Universal Realm. However, the heavenly tribulation began. If one didn't die, then it wouldn't end midway. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The power above the 9th heaven began to roar. The million km of sky above Songlan continent seemed to be splitting apart. The entire world was shaking. He's here. He's here. The last god's suffering force is here. Long Fei's body sank heavily. Bring it on. It was also at this time. The slovenly old man suddenly sat down cross-legged. He closed his eyes slightly and said softly, "I understand now. I know what to do." The idea moved. Buzz. In a split second, the clouds above his head also began to swirl. However, very subtle. It could be said that the clouds above Long Fei's head were nothing compared to his 9 Sky Force. He couldn't see it at all. Crack! A bolt of lightning streaked through the sky. Immediately after, a super god's suffering force flew over at a breakneck speed, not giving Long Fei any chance to react at all. Long Fei's body suddenly sank. His knees were about to drop to the ground. Moreover, in this instant, another god's suffering force came smashing down. Originally, Long Fei's body wouldn't be able to take it. The power of the final 999 heavenly tribulation was too strong, but he didn't even have the chance to endure it. The 82nd celestial tribulation struck out. They were trying to kill him. At this moment, beneath Long Fei's right arm, a strand of power flashed out from within the dragon-shaped mark. This power bellowed angrily. Damn it, there's no end to it, is there? Thank you for your support. Chapter 27:13 Fulfillment. Chapter 27:13 Fulfillment. The Nine Sky Force's 81st heavenly tribulation had just descended, but it had yet to disappear when it struck out at the 82nd heavenly tribulation. What was this called? Was he F*** King pushing them to death? Or was it targeting Long Fei? Long Fei himself only had half a life left. Even the 81st God's suffering force could not withstand it. And now, with the 82nd heavenly tribulation, he was completely not giving anyone a chance to live. Beneath the dragon-shaped mark, Eorong had activated the power of black and white. His voice boomed in the sky. Damn it, it doesn't end, does it? Anger. It was filled with rage. At this moment, the world suddenly quieted down. The rolling 9-story heaven clouds also stopped spinning. The 82nd heavenly tribulation struck towards the top of Long Fei's head, but because of this voice, it suddenly changed its direction and cleaved into the clouds. How could heavenly tribulation be crooked? It was just like the system lock function. Once locked, no matter where you were, it would hit. But now it had been hacked askew. The black and white then continued. That's enough, don't be so shameless. Awesome. Very domineering. The 9-story heaven shrank back again, as if it was trembling in fear. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The god's suffering force began to retreat quickly, as the clouds in the 9th layer also began to dissipate, as though they were being destroyed from all directions. The black and white aura also fiercely retracted and returned in a Long Fei's body once more. Black blood dripped from the corner of Long Fei's mouth. But he was incomparably shocked in his heart. He could not imagine the black and white power was actually powerful to such an extent that it could even suppress heavenly tribulation. How savage was this guy? Long Fei said solemnly, "Since you're so awesome, why didn't you come out earlier?" Black and white said faintly, "This is your path, not mine." Long Fei said, "You are my power, and my path is your path. If you had come out earlier, I wouldn't have suffered so much, and also—" Cough, cough. He coughed continuously, and fresh blood spurted profusely from his mouth. Long Fei was almost unable to hold on. Monochrome was still as calm as ever. He said, "My path is over. Your path has just begun." Actually, black and white also understood that he had already intervened. The more he intervened now, the more difficult the road would be for Long Fei in the future. However, if he did not intervene just now, then Long Fei would already be dead. The 9 Sky Force was extremely strong. If it was another 111 God's suffering force S, Long Fei's flesh would have directly turned into mincemeat. It would be like him. Task failure. And then there would be a new person to replace Long Fei. It was like shuffling cards again. Of course. It was also possible that he would never appear again. But what was the consequence? He did not know the black and white either. Long Fei asked, "Then what we do now? You're so strong. Can you save me now?" Black and white shook their heads. "No, I've already saved you once. We can't attack again. The more times I act, the more difficult the road ahead of you will be." It was just like how the difficulty of a game increased. The more people helped him, the more difficult the game would be. Long Fei said, "Then I'm still dead for sure." Black and white looked up at the sky. "No, you have successfully crossed the tribulation. As long as you are willing, you can step into a new plane of existence. Universal realm." The clouds of the 9th floor retreated. The god's suffering force dissipated. A ray of light from the ninth heaven descended. This is the light of extradition. As long as Long Fei moved, he would be able to enter the universal realm right now, bringing along 10 billion experience. At that time, if he could level up just by crushing a mosquito, you would be able to fully recover. This was the only way for him to survive. Long Fei raised his eyes, seeing the light that was pouring down from the sky. He felt it and said, "Is this the aura of the universal realm? It's really different." It was like the spring breeze. Black and White said, "What are you waiting for? Why aren't you going up? You wouldn't really give this opportunity to a woman, would you?" "Kit, there are all kinds of women in universal realm. They are much more beautiful than her. Don't be stupid." At this moment, Monochrome was also getting nervous. He was unable to make a choice for Long Fei. Once Long Fei made the leopard girl use her flying into the virtual, then Long Fei would really die. By her side, the leopard girl also raised her head to look at the sky. Looking at the divine light pouring down from the sky, her heart slightly throbbed. In her heart, she longed for it, because as long as she entered the universal realm, she would be in the same world as her beloved person, and there would be a day when they meet again. It was just that. In the next second, the leopard girl looked away and saw the bloodied Long Fei shaking her head, and said, "No, no, no, I can't go, I can't go." Long Fei chuckled. "I will definitely accomplish what I promised you. Go find him." He didn't know why. Giving up the chance to live? Stupid. However, but Long Fei felt that he was just too awesome. In the past, it had always been him wanting a woman. That woman would always like him, but now he met a woman that he liked but did not like. A woman he was willing to give. The most important thing was his memory of the leopard girl's wild, cheerful nature, which he would never forget. The leopard girl shook her head and said, "You risked your life for this." "How can I?" Long Fei replied. "It's all right, as long as you're happy. Go." "If I don't go now, the extradition divine light will disappear. I definitely won't go." Long Fei looked very determined. The universal realm? Doesn't want to go? After escaping from Zhenwu continent, the place he wanted to go the most was universal realm. How could he not want to go? Black and White also said heavily, "Are you crazy? You will die. We can't let her go." Long Fei said in his heart. As he said just now, "This is my path. Naturally, I will take my own path." Black and White said, "What the hell are you doing? You're going to die. What other path are you going to take? Look at how weak you are right now. All of the dragon scales on your body have been pulled out." Long Fei did not bother about her. With a smile still hanging on his face, he looked at the leopard girl and said, "Go, I'll be fine. If you don't go, then it'll really be a waste. Hurry up and go." The leopard girl slightly moved. Her eyes teared up as she kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." The person in her heart could not be replaced. She could no longer fall in love with anyone else. Even if someone was willing to risk their life for her, she couldn't, because that man had already taken root in her heart for more than 100 years. Long Fei said, "You don't need to say this. Hurry up and go." "Buzz!" The leopard girl cried as she walked into the divine light. Rumble! The divine light enveloped the leopard girl's body. Chapter 27:14, Memory Awakening. Chapter 27:14, Memory Awakening. Buzz! With a hum, a divine light enveloped the leopard girl. At this moment, everyone was stunned. What does he want to do? Could it be? Is he undergoing his tribulation for this woman? It can't be. What's so good about such a crazy wild woman? The Nine Sky Force was almost exchanged for it with one's life for someone else. This, is there something wrong with this person's head? He's too handsome. How come I didn't meet such a good man? The fat woman, who weighed more than 150 kilograms, said with infatuation in her eyes, "Handsome my ass. If you were to send that woman up there, he would have died. He's not handsome, he's sick." What do you know? This is what love is like. Although he is going to die, he is willing to use his own life to help others. This is fulfillment. This is true love. The people on the Zhonglan continent looked at the summit of the blue mist, and all of them were very surprised. No one would be like Long Fei. He would gamble with his cultivation base for the rest of his life, gamble with his life, and bear the consequences. Passing the tribulation, flying into the virtual. Who would give away their entire life's cultivation in exchange for their own life? Not to mention a lover, even a husband and wife, even a father and son. No matter how close and intimate a relationship was, it wouldn't be like this. There had never been one in the history of Songlan continent. No one would do that. Nine Sky Force. Just a slight mistake, and it would disappear in a thin air. Once he succeeded, there will definitely be a major baptism. No matter if it's innate talent or physical body, they will all undergo a metamorphosis on the premise that you want the flying into the virtual. Give it to someone else just like that? This was really stupid. The baptism of heavenly tribulation had yielded results that had been handed over to others. It is not permissible in principle. It was also because no one would give it up to others. Forget about the blue mist plane. Even if one looked at the millions of planes under the jurisdiction of the universal realm, no one would do such a thing. It was the same. Only then would it form a BUG and allow others to use flying into the virtual. The consequence of this was that those who transcended tribulation would definitely die. The black and white throats of those who shouted turned hoarse as they flew into a rage. Are you crazy? Do you really want her to replace you? You've got water in your brain? Do you know the consequences of that? Have you thought about it? You will die. You will be the same as me. No, you're not even comparable to the me from before. At least, I was once the pinnacle person in this world. Were you now? Failed as soon as I got here. It was as if he had gone mad. Long Fei did not understand what they were saying at all. He knew. He was dying. He knew. If he could help the leopard girl before he died, he would be very happy. No matter what the black and white said, it was fine as long as one did not have any shame. Was never afraid of death. Seeing that the leopard girl was completely enveloped by the divine light, Long Fei moved his idea, rise. Buzz. The divine light suddenly moved and began to contract. The leopard girl's body couldn't help but float up into the air like a god. Black and white felt as if they were about to explode. They really wanted to jump out and give Long Fei a ruthless slap to the face and wake him up. But he couldn't. When black and white heard Long Fei's order, their hearts sank. It's over, it's all over. You're finished. Sigh. We failed. Unexpectedly, after so many years, my punishment just ended and I failed again. This time, I'm afraid, the black and white were miserable beyond words. In the end, they could only bitterly smile. There were many things he could not tell Long Fei. There was no way to say it. He hadn't even entered the universal realm, and he had already failed in such a low plane. Too bad. Long Fei smiled as he watched the leopard girl slowly fly into the air. He never regretted what he wanted to do. Tears rolled down the leopard girl's face. She was struggling internally, but at the same time, she was also in extreme agony and hated herself a little. As she watched herself get further and further away from the ground, the remorse in her heart made her feel even worse. She didn't even know how to face it. Long Fei looked at the exclamation mark on the leopard girl's head and let out a long sigh. It still won't do. All right then. She is destined to be in a lot of trouble if she follows me. None of the people by my side will have a good ending. I am the Heaven Destroyer, solitary star, and I am fated not to have brothers, friends, or women. All right then. Long Fei looked at the leopard girl who was slowly leaving in the sky and said, You must live a good life and take good care of yourself. The leopard girl cried as she shouted, I'm sorry. I have been waiting here for 100 years. I cannot wait for him. He has entered the universal realm. I must. I have what he wants on me. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Tears streamed down his face. Woo woo woo. Long Fei was a little curious, so he casually asked, What is his name? I really want to know what kind of person can make you wait 100 years. The leopard girl could not hear him clearly from too far away, so she asked, What did you say? Long Fei repeated, I want to know his name. I envy him for making you wait 100 years. At this moment, the Eye of the Void was right in front of the leopard girl. It would be able to enter very soon. The leopard girl paused for a moment and then shouted loudly, His name is Long Fei. As soon as he finished, The divine light pulled the leopard girl into the air, and she instantly disappeared. It was also at this time that the entire world returned to calm. But the leopard girl's last sentence was heard echoing in the air for a long time. His name is Long Fei. His name is Long Fei. His name is Long Fei. Streams of energy continuously spread out until it was like a sound wave that covered the entire Tsanglan continent. His name is Long Fei. He is called Long Fei. Long Fei was stunned in place. His gaze was a little dazed, and he could not react in time. His name is Long Fei? Long Fei. Me? Long Fei's gaze suddenly tensed up. He raised his eyes, looked straight into the sky, and shouted fiercely, "Leopard girl." At this moment, in Long Fei's mind, a strand of memory rose from the depths of his memory, and the memory exploded. In this instant, Long Fei's mind stirred, and he remembered everything that had happened in the hundreds of thousands of barren mountains, the demon territory. At this moment, the memories of the leopard girl were completely awakened in his mind. However, it was only limited to the leopard girl's memories. As for the other people's memories, they were all still in the seal. However, he knew who he was. Long Fei, the son of Long Zhanting, the grandson of Crazy Long. The first place he crossed over was not the Zhenwu continent, but the gods' Martial continent. Just what is in my memory? What? Damn it, God tried. Other than what happened in hundreds of thousands of barren mountains, Long Fei still had the memories of the leopard girl's choice to enter the reincarnation cycle and wait for Long Fei. 100 years. All of this was because of the gods' tribe. It was also at this time, when the black and white felt the hostility in Long Fei's heart, they sighed lightly and said, "Even if your memories are awakened, it's useless. You're going to die." Chapter 27:15, Universal Realm. I'm here. Chapter 27:15, Universal Realm. I'm here. The flying into the virtual was Long Fei's last hope. If they missed it, that would mean his time of death had come. The instant the leopard girl disappeared, Long Fei's body began to undergo an intense change. However, Long Fei acted as if he couldn't feel it at all. Memory. The leopard girl's memories made him feel incomparably shocked and pleasantly surprised. The person she is waiting for is me. She loves me. Ha! Ha! Long Fei laughed loudly. He did not regret anything from the beginning, but now that he knew about leopard girl's identity, he did not regret anything even more after he had awakened the leopard girl's memories. "Hubby, you're so handsome. My husband is handsome. Hubby, can you marry me? Hubby, I want to leave my first wedding night." In his memory, many of the things that the leopard girl said lingered in her ears. That kind of stubbornness, that kind of coquettishness, that kind of wildness. Long Fei's heart was really warm. It was all worth it. Crack. The skin cracked. Hiss. Long Fei suddenly took in a breath of cool air. He couldn't help but shudder due to the intense pain. Black and White said coldly, "You're going to die. You're going to be branded as a failure. Not even halfway." Sigh. Long Fei smiled lightly and said, "I do not regret it. To be able to see the woman I love before I die, my life was already worth it. I am just a little otaku on Earth. To be able to experience so many things, have so many brothers, and have such a beautiful woman like me, I will not have any regrets in my life." Long Fei opened his car very wide. He was afraid of death, but in the face of death, he had never been afraid of anything. As for the reason, his life on Earth from when he was a child, in that alternate space, those super powerhouse, those alien technology, these could be dreams. But in the gods' Martial continent, everything that happened was real, and what had happened in the Zhenwu continent. So Long Fei's daily life was very fulfilling. These were not dreams. So be it. Even if he died, Long Fei would still smile, just that. He was still a little worried. What if she can't find me? Continue to wait? Long Fei looked to the sky and muttered, "I'm sorry." Long Fei did not accept his fate. However, right now, he had no other choice. Black and White sighed bitterly. Long Fei watched quietly, just like how the leopard girl used to look at the sky. Now, he was the same as the leopard girl. It's over. It's over. He's going to die. To help others, The one who died was himself, so that's why he's called stupid. Sigh. This is fate. Who knows? Maybe when that woman entered the universal realm, she would never remember him again. So stupid, so stupid. If I had his cultivation, if I succeeded in my tribulation, I would instantly use flying into the virtual. Look at him, he's about to die. Crack, crack. Long Fei's body continued to crack as a piece of flesh and blood burst out, floating straight out before turning into fine powder. It was as if a vampire in a movie had caught the sunlight. It burned. This process was incomparably painful. Long Fei laughed, looked at the sky, and muttered, "Ha, I'm going to die. Brothers, all of you must be all right." He closed his eyes. Long Fei pointed to the sky with one finger and assumed a pose that he thought was very handsome, welcoming death. Time passed second by second. His health point slowly bottomed out. He knew he was going to die soon. But just when Long Fei thought he was going to die, just when black and white despaired, a ray of teleportation divine light scattered down, enveloping Long Fei within it. And at this moment, the pain on Long Fei's body stopped, and his health point also stopped. Long Fei looked up slightly and glanced to the side. The slovenly old man was covered in blood. His face was pale, and all the skin on his face was creased, as if he had suddenly aged several decades. He was incomparably old. Moreover, it looked weaker than Long Fei. He looked at Long Fei and said faintly, "Go." In that instant, he too had successfully transcended the tribulation. However, compared to Long Fei's 9 sky force, his level of heavenly tribulation was a little insignificant, so no one paid much attention to it. Long Fei's eyes tensed up. "I can't." The slovenly old man replied, "Go on. Extradition is my mission, the mission that the immortal master Lu Yuan gave me. If it wasn't for the presence of the immortal sovereign, I would have died long ago. I live to extradite you. And with my inherent skill, my blood vein is just like an ant in the universal realm. Even if I were to fly up there, it would be useless. You're different. Your talent is the most amazing person I've ever met. But the heavenly tribulation that I have just transcended is the weakest amongst all of the heavenly tribulations. So I am unable to give you too much of a baptism. It will not be of much help to you." The sloppy-looking old man said softly, "The higher the level of heavenly tribulation, the stronger the baptism power received would be. In other words, the baptism of heavenly tribulation was a form of strengthening, changing your physique so that your physique would not lose out to the warriors of universal realm. The stronger the heavenly tribulation, the stronger the transformation of your body." Black and white immediately jumped up, just like grabbing onto a lifesaver in the middle of a vast ocean. They solemnly said, "Brat, don't hesitate. Hurry up and go in." "What are you hesitating for? Hurry up." In the midst of the divine light, Long Fei couldn't reject it either. The slovenly old man moved his idea and instantly held Long Fei in the air. Long Fei's body became light and immediately flew up. Dean succeeded in transcending tribulation. Why did the dean become so foolish? It's that fellow. Principal, are you crazy? I'm your brother. Even if you want to give me back, give it to me. Dean, you old fool, let me soar. Let me stop, let me soar. As if they had gone mad, the people from the Tsanglan College all rushed towards the summit of the blue mist. Long Fei floated up, bowed to the slovenly old man, and said with a heavy voice, "Thank you." "Ha ha." The slovenly old man laughed loudly and said, "Kid, if it wasn't for you, even I wouldn't have been able to successfully transcend this tribulation. You're right. Life and death are less important. If you don't agree, then do it. Too much fear will cause you to fall into a quagmire. Go, make a name for yourself in universal realm." He did not know Long Fei's identity. If Long Fei wanted to enter the universal realm, it would not be as simple as barging into a whole new world, but to immediately flip everything over. Monochrome was also excited. "Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, not dead, not dead. Unexpectedly, ha ha, your luck is really quite good. However, your physical body and the God's tribe's curse mark on your body. I have to find a way to change it. The current universal realm is different from the previous universal realm. God's tribe is still too strong for you, but don't worry. When I gather all of your brothers, I will kill all of you. Long Fei looked at the sky, looked at the eye of void flying out, and clenched his fists tightly. Universal realm, your father is here. Chapter 27:16 Evil Spirit Grand Pill Refiner. Chapter 27:16 Evil Spirit Grand Pill Refiner. Line up. Everyone line up. If anyone doesn't listen, I, your father, have 100 ways to kill him. Did you hear that? Who do you think you are? You are just low-level muggle. What do you think you can do after entering the universal realm? All of you are just adding fodder and ants to the universal realm. You may have been strong in the past and were the world's top powerhouse, but here, you guys aren't even dog shit. A long corridor of the netherworld was packed with people. These people had all successfully transcended tribulation from the lower planes and were sent here by the divine light. Here, Universal Realms Transition Station. It could also be said to be the Universal Realms Bridge of Helplessness, the Reincarnation Tower. Anyone who succeeded in undergoing a tribulation in a low plane would have to enter the Universal Realm from here. This place was also known as the first stage of the Primal Chaos. Everyone here were all former genius decision-makers. They were the super powerhouse of their world, and their innate skills and blood vein-s were all top-notch existences. Those who were able to succeed in transcending the tribulation were all chosen out of 10 million. But the words of the guards on both sides of the corridor were completely worthless. It really wasn't even dog shit. At least, no one would be able to step on dog shit. Just trash, muggle, ant, and cannon fodder. Hurry up, you bunch of trash, one of the guards shouted. Before he could finish his sentence, the whip at his waist moved. Pa! The whip lashed out. In the middle of the team, the eyes of one of the strong men darkened. He rushed out and grabbed the whip that was coming down. He exerted a lot of force in his arm and shouted, "Don't go overboard." They were all once the peak powerhouse-s. They were all very arrogant. When did someone say trash? Trash? None of them had dared to say such things to them. The corner of the guard's mouth twitched, and he laughed coldly. Excessively? Do you think this is too much? All of you think too highly of yourselves. However, since you've gone too far, I'll let you know what it means by going too far. The aura of the guard slightly fluctuated. In that instant, an electric current was released from his right hand. Almost in an instant, that electric current immediately struck the muscular man's body. Bam! The brawny man's entire arm exploded. Ah! The brawny man screamed in pain as he was pushed back. His face was extremely pale. It was just a strand of power. So much so that he simply had no way to defend against even a single strand of the idea's power. How big was the difference in strength? It was hard to imagine. The crowd trembled slightly. All of them were silent. No one dared to make a sound. And even more so, they didn't dare to look into the eyes of those guards. Just as the guards had said, there were nothing here. They were just a bunch of useless trash. Ha-ha! 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 The guards began to laugh loudly, laughing in a very complacent manner. Are you going too far? The sturdy man quickly got up and kneeled down. He cowed out and begged for mercy. No, 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 no. Please spare my life, my lord. Please spare my life, my lord. The guard said, "You are a piece of trash yourself, but now you have become a cripple. What use do you think the universal realm would want a cripple like you for? Drag him out and hand him over to Lord Shiefe." "Yes, sir." With that, two black-robed men suddenly walked out of the unholy long corridor, holding a curved sickle in their hands. Without waiting for the sturdy man to react, the sickle moved. Crack! Crack! The two of them directly stabbed into his chest and dragged him away, not even sparing a glance at the strong man. "No! No! Lord, spare me. I beg you, spare me. I spent more than 300 years chasing after the peak of martial arts. I finally succeeded in transcending the tribulation, and I didn't even manage to enter the universal realm. I can't just die like this. I'm begging you. I'm begging you." Buzz! He was dragged straight into the void. The voice vanished as well. After a few seconds, everything returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. However, those people walking in the corridor did not dare to show any signs of unrest. He didn't dare to be slow either. These guards were in control of their lives. Lord Shifa. That person is dead for sure. Who is the Lord Shifa? You haven't even heard of Universal Realms' Lord Shifa? You've heard of it. Of course I have. My cousin sent a message to me, telling me to be careful in the first stage of the primordial trial. By all means, do not provoke the Lord Shifa. Who is he? He is an evil spirit pill refiner, someone who specializes in refining pills, and he guards the first stage of grand miscultivation. F***CK. Use people for alchemy. Using a person's profound chi, blood vein, talent, and even a person's life force, he can refine all kinds of powerful medicinal pellets, increasing lifespan, increasing profound chi and blood vein, and can also increase your talent. He's a powerful alchemy master. Stop. We're almost there. Amongst the crowd, Long Fei was a little weak and slowly walked forward like a sick person. Although the slovenly old man had used the divine light of extradition to enter the netherworld, the wounds on his body were still there and had not recovered. At this moment, he kept looking around, hoping to find the leopard girl in the crowd. However, there were too many people in the corridor, just like the ghosts in the underworld. Long Fei was also extremely shocked in his heart. I never thought that so many people would be able to successfully pass through the tribulation at the same time. Crossing tribulation was a narrow escape from death. Moreover, ordinary people would not dare do so. But even so, there was still such a large number of them. It could be seen how huge the number of planes below the universal realm was. It could also be seen that a practitioner's pursuit for the peak of martial Tao would never stop. Are you okay? An old man behind Long Fei asked as he looked at Long Fei's bloody body. Long Fei shook his head. It's fine, I won't die. The old man asked, what level of heavenly tribulation did you go through to make you into such a state? Do you not have time to change out of your clothes? Long Fei replied, I don't know what rank either. The old man warned carefully, no matter how painful it is, you have to endure it. Don't let anyone find out that you are weak, especially the guards, who have to pretend to be strong when you walk in front of them. Otherwise, they will sell you to the Lord Shifa like the sturdy man just now. Long Fei said gratefully, Thank you. No need to thank me. The old man laughed. My name is Qi Jinliang. After a while, I will be able to step into the universal realm, and I will be able to return to being young like you. Long Fei looked at the place in front of him that looked like a teleportation portal. Long Fei was secretly excited in his heart. They were finally here. They were finally going to enter the universal realm. Half an hour later, Long Fei walked to the front of the teleportation formation and wanted to step in. At this moment, a guard said coldly, Wait. Chapter 27:17 Universal Realms First Small Boss. Chapter 27:17 Universal Realms First Small Boss. Wait. The guard's eyes turned cold. Long Fei stopped and asked, What's the matter? The guard coldly replied, Pass. Long Fei was startled. Pass? What pass? I really don't know. And he doesn't have a pass. The guard reminded her, It is your pass after your tribulation. Qi Jinliang, who was standing behind Long Fei, reminded her in a low voice, It's the mark that appeared on your body after you completed your tribulation. It's usually on your chest. That's your pass. Long Fei frowned. He didn't. There was no mark on his chest. Not only that, there was also the mark of the gods' tribe's curse. Black and white had hidden the curse marks on their faces, foreheads, hands, but the mark under the clothes, especially on the chest, was very obvious. All of them were gathered at his chest. If he opened up his clothes, the god tribe curse mark would instantly appear. At this moment, when he was just a step away from Universal Realm, Long Fei absolutely could not let anyone see the curse mark on his body. Absolutely not. Long Fei shook his head. I did not. No. The guard was slightly startled. Following that, he looked at the mirror in his hand, which shone on Long Fei's body. Buzz! A halo of light coiled around them. The guard smirked, 36 ants, heavenly tribulation. The lowest level of heavenly tribulation. Moreover, it was in place of someone else that you were extradited by the divine light and sent here. No wonder you didn't have a pass with you. Qi Jinliang was slightly shocked, looked at Long Fei, and asked, "You didn't undergo your tribulation?" "Ha! So it's a mouse. Damn, there are people like that? Brat, you're really something." The 36 heavenly tribulations were originally trash heavenly tribulations, but you were sent here by someone else? How much of trash do you think you are? No wonder he has nothing. Many people began to mock him. Long Fei asked, "You are not allowed to enter the universal realm without a pass." The guard's eyes turned sinister and he sneered, "You can, but you used another method to get in." At this moment, Long Fei could see the coldness in the guard's eyes. In an instant, Long Fei looked at the teleportation formation that was not far from him. The guard was not flustered at all. He coldly smiled and said, "Trash, what do you think we are? Didn't Western Masters want a refined plague pill? This kid just happens to be a good choice." Before he could finish, the two black-robed slaves appeared once again in the Netherrealm. The instant Long Fei was about to rush into the teleportation formation, the two curved hooks moved slightly. Crack! Crack! He directly hooked onto the collarbone on Long Fei's shoulder, then fiercely pulled. Bam! Long Fei fell to the ground. The two black-robed slaves didn't even look back as they dragged Long Fei into the Netherrealm. Long Fei resisted with all his might. However, it was completely useless. His strength was not his opponent at all. Black and white, bring your strength. Without waiting for Long Fei to finish, Black and White said straightforwardly, "Unless it's absolutely necessary, I will never let you activate the Black and White power again." Absolutely not. He almost died fighting the 100 outer space powerhouse S. The reason why Long Fei was so weak right now was because of the backlash from the Black and White power. Long Fei's body was simply too weak. The guard looked at Long Fei coldly and said, "Trash." Then, he looked at Qi Jinliang and said, "Next pass." Qi Jinliang looked at Long Fei. The guard immediately said, "What's the matter? You want to be like him?" Qi Jinliang's body trembled slightly, revealing the mark on his chest. The guard coldly replied, "Go on." And then there was Long Fei. His body was dragged into the abyssal space. His collarbone was fractured, and he was in incomparable pain. However, he wasn't thinking about himself now, but about the leopard girl. Would the leopard girl be like him? However, what Long Fei did not know was that the leopard girl had flown up in place. The imprint on her body was the Nine Sky Force, and several powerhouse had welcomed her when she had just flown into the long corridor of the Netherworld. Talent was important everywhere. It was the same even in this corridor. It was just that, in this place, replacing the inherent skill was the heavenly tribulation level, while the Nine Sky Force was a high-level heavenly tribulation. The leopard girl had brought Long Fei's heavenly tribulation imprint in here. The baptism of heavenly tribulation that she had received was extremely strong. It could be said to allow her to experience a qualitative leap. Bam! Long Fei's body fell forward, heavily falling onto the ground. The two slaves said, "Master, another one has come." There was no sound in the dark room. The black slave also slowly retreated into the darkness. In this dark room, it was filled with the stench of rotting flesh. Long Fei took a deep breath, and his stomach started to churn. That could be seen everywhere. Human bones. There are also the internal organs of the human body contained in glass containers, as well as some special bottles containing all sorts of strange things. Other than that, there was even a trace of the strange smell of the spirit grass. It was not the smell of medicine, but a strange smell, as if these spirit grass were bred using some kind of evil power, as if these spirit grass mixed with some special power to produce a strange smell. It stinks. Suddenly, from the depths of the darkness came waves of agonized screams. Buzz! The pill furnace hummed. TSK. Success. Another 100 years old life essence. A burst of strange laughter was incomparably sinister. After listening for a few minutes, a scrawny man walked out of the darkness with a slight tremble, as if his entire body had been sucked dry. In an instant, he looked like he had aged a few hundred years. Look at his broken arm. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Isn't this the guy who just lost an arm? Damn it, I suddenly became a dried-up corpse. In less than half the novel, a brawny man had turned into a broken bone. His hair was disheveled and yellow in color. He looked like a dried corpse. Long Fei's mind trembled. At this time, a strange, sinister old man walked out from the darkness. Looking at the pellet in his hand, he said excitedly, "The quality of this life essence is not bad." And then he saw Long Fei. The old man smirked and said, "Looking at your sickly appearance, you are the most suitable to refine plague pill. Coincidentally, the Eastern Emperor of Western regions needs you. Kid, follow me. Don't worry, it'll hurt a bit. He won't die." Long Fei's gaze tensed up. He slowly stood up from the ground. The broken arm man shook his head, signaling to Long Fei not to go. But Long Fei did not hesitate. He had to go. He had to go. Because if he could kill him, he would be able to level up. One must know that Long Fei still had 10 billion experience points in his experience bar. Chapter 27:18. Who's Afraid of the Alchemy? Chapter 27:18. Who's Afraid of the Alchemy? Hundreds of outer space powerhouse. One person had 100 million experience. 10 billion experience points leaked out of Long Fei's current experience slot. Because of the restrictions of the dimensional realm, he was no longer able to break through. However, as long as he could squash a mosquito and kill an ant, Long Fei would be able to level up and release 10 billion experience points. But there were no mosquitoes or ants in this dark room. There was only one alchemy monster. This alchemy monster was a little boss whose body was glowing with a golden light. If he could kill it, then nothing would be a problem. Long Fei stood up and walked over. The man kept shaking his head. He knew what was inside when he came out. If Long Fei went in, he would die. Seeing Long Fei walk forward, the wretched old man's eyes flashed with a bright light. He laughed sinisterly. Now that's more obedient, the more comfortable it is. Don't worry, it will end soon. The old leader led Long Fei into the darkness. Long Fei looked at the old man's back and didn't know why, but he saw that bloody wound on the top of his head. Long Fei kept feeling that there was a pair of eyes staring straight at him from the old man's back. Moreover, Long Fei could not find an opportunity to attack. Just as he was about to enter the pill house, Long Fei knew that if he did not act soon, he would not have the chance. "I'm going all out." The idea moved. Long Fei clenched his right hand tightly. Supreme Dragon Knife energy. Boom! In that instant, Long Fei used all his strength and chopped heavily at the old man's head. One slash split the old man's body into two. One slash in 1 second. Long Fei's pupils suddenly shrank rapidly. The old man disappeared. At this moment, a layer of cold sweat seeped out of Long Fei's back. "Then I'll let you suffer enough." Without waiting for Long Fei's response, the old man kicked Long Fei's body. Long Fei staggered and rushed forward. And at this moment, buzz! A vault door fell down. Rumble! The flames soared to the sky, and the place where Long Fei was had instantly combusted. It was exceptionally pressing and scorching, causing Long Fei's mind to abruptly shake as well. Pill furnace. This is a pill furnace. Walala, walala, walala. As the flames continued to rise, the old man's sinister voice sounded. "You're right. This is the pill furnace, and, alchemy? That's great. Understood alchemy, refined into a medicinal pellet. Hee hee. Walala, walala." The flame roared even more. This was a huge pill furnace, at least 2 stories high. This was the first time Long Fei saw such a large cauldron. Since it's a pill furnace, there must be an exit, or perhaps a place with a lid. Long Fei looked at the lid on his head and pushed it open. Boom! Without waiting for him to jump up, a powerful force came crashing down from the furnace. They didn't even give him a chance to react. Bam! It smashed straight into the ground. Long Fei said as blood trickled down the corner of his mouth. Ha! Ha! Brat, do you think that anyone can break through my pill furnace? This is a universal realm. It is your honor to have a muggle from a lower plane like yours refined into a pill. Understand? The old man smiled proudly and immediately used up all his strength in the pill furnace. Walala! The flames immediately engulfed Long Fei. Hiss! Long Fei's body was completely red. This won't do. If this goes on, I really will be burned to death. I must think of a way to get out. Old man, don't let me out, or I'll definitely let you have a taste of what it is like to be inside it. Long Fei said fiercely. He was waiting. If he was used as a primer, he would definitely be thrown into another spirit grass. As long as the lid was opened, everything in the furnace would stop moving. The old man laughed. I can assure you that you won't be able to come out, huh? Long Fei sat cross-legged. His entire body was scarlet red. Originally, his scales had been stripped bare, and he was in unbearable pain. But now, being burned in the flames was an extremely difficult test for his body to bear. Then again, he was brought here without a transmission array. This way, his heavenly tribulation baptism wouldn't be able to take place, and his body wouldn't be able to change. The road of cultivation in the future would be even more difficult. Long Fei clenched his teeth and held his breath. Hold on for dear life. Time passed by second. 10 minutes later, the old man saw that there was no response from the furnace, so he smiled coldly and said, "It should have been refined by now, right?" He opened the cover of the demonic ghost grass in his hand. At this moment, Long Fei's eyes suddenly opened, using all of his strength to rush towards the lid. "I will kill you when I go out." The old man was slightly startled. Ouch, I didn't expect you to be so resistant to heat. He actually didn't die? Good. It seems like with your inherent skill, your blood vein are pretty good. This way, you'll be able to refine even more powerful plague pill. Boom! Just as Long Fei was about to rush out, the old man flipped his right hand, and a huge amount of energy came crushing down. Buzz! Long Fei was flung back. At the same time, the evil spirit demonic grass quickly turned into a pill furnace. The old man laughed. Boy, enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself slowly under the plague. Walala! The moment the demonic ghost grass was thrown into the pill furnace, the spirit liquid instantly exploded. This was completely different from the alchemy technique that Long Fei had come into contact with before. In an instant, the pill furnace turned into a vast ocean. The fire on the pill furnace raged. Suddenly, the two heavens of fire and ice felt even more torturous on Long Fei's body. What should I do? What should I do? Long Fei's mind was in a frenzy. At the same time, the plague poison hidden within the evil spirit demonic grass continued to invade Long Fei's mind. It slowly seeped out of his wound. Pain. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes flashed as his heart sank. The alchemy, right? F***CK. Who's afraid of the alchemy? Then refine it. Alchemy? Long Fei had never lost. Although the alchemy technique had been absorbed, Long Fei was not unfamiliar with controlling the ancient alchemy technique. The idea moved. Heaven and earth as a furnace. Boom! The moment Long Fei's idea appeared, the entire pill furnace started to rumble. Ignite with fire. Boom! A human body. Use your body as a guide. Come. Long Fei crazily controlled his mind, and at this moment, an unprecedented level of calm appeared in his sea of consciousness. At the same time, Long Fei suddenly thought of something. Sun Wukong had refined a set of fiery eyes of truth from old Lord Taishang's pill furnace. The old man couldn't compare to old Lord Taishang. Since he couldn't refine the fiery eyes of truth, then he should be able to refine something else, right? Body as pill. Let me handle it. Long Fei did not know what he could refine, how he would feel comfortable about it. In short, he had to preserve his life. The pill furnace was in a frenzy. Boom! A loud sound echoed out. The system suddenly sounded out. Ding! Thank you for your support. Chapter 2719, Refining Your Pill. Chapter 2719, Refining your pill ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully refining it. It was just a notification. He didn't mention that he had managed to refine any medicinal pellets, nor did he increase his alchemy. This made Long Fei a little depressed. The forging is a success. What kind of pill did you forge? Just when Long Fei wanted to look at the attribute of the medicinal pellet, he suddenly realized he had turned himself into a pill. He had refined himself into a spiritual pill. Monkey Sun had refined a pair of fiery eyes of truth in the pill furnace that was too low for Old Lord Gu. It was one thing that he did not manage to refine a pair of fiery eyes of truth, but now he refined a single pill? This. Long Fei was dumbstruck. I became a pill. I became a pill. Mother of asterisk cur became a pill. He was speechless. Long Fei was so shocked that he looked like an idiot as he stood there motionlessly, completely at a loss of what to do. Could this be the ultimate profound mystery of the ancient alchemy technique? Refining an alchemy master into a medicinal pellet? Are you *king messing with me? Long Fei complained fiercely. That's not right. No, that's not right. Long Fei felt it for a moment, and then said, I can feel my body, my heartbeat, my mind, my consciousness, everything about me. In principle, I should be a talented person. Long Fei was a little confused. He could feel everything, but he was now just a pill. Did I learn the art of transformation? It had to be known that it was very normal to change techniques in the mythical world. Sun Ishio could transform into a mosquito, fly, or even a completely different person. It was normal for Long Fei to turn into a medicinal pellet. Is it really a transformation technique? Long Fei moved, opening up the system to check. There were no system notifications. The skill bar in the system was empty, not a single thing. He didn't acquire the transformation skill. Long Fei was startled. That's strange. Then why was I able to turn myself into a pill? The black and white said, faintly, it's very simple because the alchemy technique you cultivate is different from the others. Then it's your body, your blood essence, and anything within your body is a divine ranked sovereign level spirit grass. It's also normal for you to refine your own body into a medicinal pellet. The body refinement pellet is an extremely high level of cultivation. Black and White did not say it out loud. Back then, he did not even say it out loud. He was also a bit envious because if he refined his body into a pill, he would become the king of the pills. He had reached an unprecedented level in the Tao of alchemy, a life or death situation. He used his body to form a pill. At that time, Long Fei had forgotten about everything else. He only wanted to live, to not be corroded by the demonic spirit grass's venom, to not be burned to death by the flames, and only wanted to live. Who would have thought that, by a stroke of luck, he would be able to form a pill with his body? Long Fei slightly said, very strong. Why didn't I feel it? Black and White said, everything has a process. Even if you use your body to form a pill, you still have a long way to go. Long Fei said, let's not talk about this for now. How can I recover my real face after what you have told me? Black and White paused for a moment before saying, about this. Everything is up to you. He had never cultivated such a realm before. How would he know? *CK. Long Fei contemptuously said, so even you don't know. Monochrome did not speak. Long Fei kept on pondering. What exactly do I need to do? The idea moved. Recover to real face. No response. The system also did not react. Long Fei tried again, but it was still the same. The idea could not be controlled. Moreover, this was not controlled by the system. It could only be controlled by oneself. This was a bit of a pain in the ass. Tisk. A series of sinister sneers came from outside the pill furnace. Are there no movements? Did you refine it? The two slaves dragged a few more people into the room. Master, send 2 more over. Lord Tianfeng wants you to send the money over. Shi waved his right hand, and a space ring appeared. He said, send it over. Tell him that I'm very satisfied with today's goods. The excess grand mist crystals are for him. Understood, master. A black slave entered the darkness. Old man Shi said, activate shuttle. Target Western regions. A black slave said, "Understood, master." The black slaves were like robots. The West Law's orders were orders. With a slight tremble, the flying shuttle was activated. In half an hour, the plague pill will be refined. The Eastern Emperor of the Western regions has spent 10 million grand mist crystals. At that time, we'll be able to earn another fortune. Haha. I wonder who he wants to use the plague pill against. Who cares who he goes against? Who the fuck cares about me? There's so many people in the universal realm, it would be best if I just die a little more. That way, I can obtain an endless amount of materials, hee. Sifa laughed grimly. Long Fei did not know what was happening outside. Similarly, no one knew what happened inside the pill furnace. However, Long Fei could feel all the light vibrations, as if they were floating in the air and were going to teleport out in an instant. After that, he didn't have much of a feeling. How can I change back? I won't keep being this pill in the future, right? What if someone eats it? Then will I turn into excrement? Thinking about that scene, Long Fei trembled. He kept trying to find a solution in the system as well as in his own body, but no matter how hard Long Fei tried, he just could not find a way. There was no way to recover the real face at all. Half an hour passed. Tisk. Have I finished refining my plague pill? Sifa laughed excitedly. And then, the lid of the pill furnace slightly moved. At this moment, Long Fei's mind immediately tensed up and thought to himself, maybe if I kill him, I can. Not waiting for him to finish. Just as the lid of the pill furnace was completely opened, a system notification rang out. Ding! System notification. Do you wish to recover real face? Holy sh**T. Long Fei almost cried. So you need to open the pill furnace in order to activate it. That's so scary a baby. If we can both use the same pill in the future, how can we continue to act cool? How can we continue to flirt with girls? Thank God for God's blessing. Since he could recover his real face, Long Fei calmed down. He was in a hurry. Right now, Long Fei was not in a hurry at all, because he was waiting for a perfect opportunity, a chance to kill him in one blow. Seeing that he was taken out from the pill furnace by the Western Elder, Long Fei laughed sinisterly in his heart. Chapter 2720, Small Boss. Chapter 2720, Small Boss. A first-rate product. His looks are first-rate. The medicinal effects. Tsk. Could it be that my evil spirit alchemy technique has broken through again? This plague pill has simply reached the realm of a grade 7 profound core. Ha! Sifa was pleased with himself. He had never refined such a good pill. He even thought that he had made a breakthrough. I'll definitely make a huge profit this time. Sifa could not help but be excited as he asked in a low voice, "Black slave, have you arrived?" A voice rang out from another room. "Master, immediately enter the primordial dimension. Hurry up, I can't wait." This plague pill would definitely cause a sensation in the East Imperial City. Tisk. Xie held the pill in his hand and looked at it lovingly again and again. Every part of it was perfect, better than any pills he had ever made in the past. However, he did not care about Long Fei, the primer of the alchemy. He had already refined the pill, and there was probably not even bones left behind. The shriveled-up corpse let out a long sigh. Tell him not to go at all. Universal realm is really too dangerous. Those of us from the lower realms are like ants. If we want to survive in the universal realm, we need to find a strong backer. Otherwise, any warrior would kill us. The other men who had been caught huddled together, not daring to look directly at Sifa. They trembled. They knew in their hearts that their time of death wasn't far. Seeing their frightened look, Sifa laughed proudly and said, "Don't be afraid. I'm very happy today. You guys can live for a few more days after I sell this plague pill and buy some high-grade materials and then refine you guys. You should thank this person. If not for him, you'd all be dead by now." Ha! Sifa became increasingly happy as he looked at the pills in his hand. He couldn't help but be excited as he thought of the piles of grand mist crystals piled up in front of him. "I'm rich. I've struck it rich." He was overjoyed. There was no defense at all. At this moment, Long Fei moved slightly, recover to real face. Boom! In that instant. What's going on? Shifa suddenly felt the weight of the pill on his palm increase dramatically. His eyes were filled with curiosity. What's going on? Without waiting for him to react, he shouted boom. Long Fei recovered his real face. He was standing right in the hands of Silva. Suddenly, old man Shi Fa was so scared that his eyes turned blank. He couldn't react at all. He just couldn't understand how a pill could suddenly turn into a human. He was stupefied. The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. It was hard to imagine. Long Fei moved. The energy that had been brewing in his hand suddenly slashed, and he roared out, "Refine this, Daddy? I will take your life." The Supreme Dragon Knife's energy suddenly exploded. He smashed down viciously from above on top of Western Fa's head. Too sudden. Old man Shi Fa was still in a state of shock, and he basically didn't have time to react. Furthermore, Long Fei's speed was extremely fast. Boom! Silva's body sank. Blood spurted out from the top of his head. His body fell onto the ground from the impact, his eyes sinister as he stared straight at Long Fei and said fiercely, You are actually still alive? Hiding in the midst of pills?" Long Fei smiled slightly. "You didn't think of it, right? Refined father? Don't you know who your father is?" While he was speaking, Long Fei did not idle around. Taking advantage of his severe injuries was to take advantage of his illness and not give Shi Fa any chance to stand up. Long Fei took a step forward and sat down on his butt. Boom! Clenching his fists tightly and without any warning, he started bombarding the wound on Sifa's head. Bang, bang, bang. There was no cultivation technique, no energy. Right now, Long Fei was only relying on the tiniest bit of strength on his body. He did not dare to relax, because the moment he relaxed even the slightest bit, he could be killed by Shiman Wandai. Moreover, this shuttle also had a black slave in it. If he came out, even Long Fei wouldn't be able to stop him. His body was currently very weak. Even if he had the power of 3 ancient inheritances on him, he basically did not have the energy to release them. The 2 inheritances of the underworld fire and the decaying power only had skin and skin. The lower planes could kill everything in an instant, but the fur of the 2 ancient inheritances were completely useless in the universal realm. Long Fei had felt it when he was dealing with the outer space powerhouse. Universal realm was the first place under ancient world. The powerhouse of this world was different from the powerhouse of other planes. Bam, bam, bam. Long Fei used all of his strength and bombarded crazily. The people around were all dumbfounded. She looked at Long Fei in a daze. Long Fei shouted, "Why are you in a daze? Why aren't you coming over to help?" The 2 men who came from behind immediately shrunk, like a turtle with its head in, not daring to move forward. The one-armed corpse man hesitated for a few seconds and then shouted, "What's there to be afraid of? Your father's lifespan has been sucked dry. Since I can't escape death anyway, I'll earn it by beating him up before I die." A flying star pounced on him. A one-handed attack. He didn't know why. The arm that was destroyed by the corpse man smashed at old man Shi Fa's chrysanthemum, which was then pulled out, making a loud popping sound. It was as if the chrysanthemum was being pushed into a toilet bowl. "I'll let you break my chrysanthemum. I'll let you suck my lifespan. Mother asterisk her," old man Shi Fa wailed. Seeing the arm that had been cut off and seeing the corpse man's madness, Long Fei shivered and said, "Brother, your hobbies are really special, huh?" "That's what he did to me," the mummified man with the severed arm said. Long Fei lightly glanced at the spot where the broken arm corpses but was, and as expected, there was blood, as he said, "Then his hobbies are also very special." The 2 of them, one in front and one behind, bombarded the West Fa Ma. With the addition of the arm that had been cut off by the dried corpse, the blood on the top of the West Fa Lee's head was quickly drained. It could not hold on for much longer. Moreover, he was just an alchemy master. Other than the power of powder, he did not have much value in terms of physical strength. After getting heavily hit by Long Fei once, he was already stupefied. Furthermore, Long Fei did not give him any chance to get up, and could only force him to stay on the ground and receive a beating. A few minutes later, Long Fei looked at the last bit of HP on his head. Long Fei smirked. "Refining your father? Blast it for me." It was also at this time. The black slave replied, "Master, enter the universal realm." Boom! Long Fei punched down. Old man Shi Fa let out a blood-curdling scream. Zhang Xian rolled his eyes. His hair was sticking up. Huff! Long Fei practically paralyzed as he let out a long breath and fell to the side. He was secretly excited in his heart. It exploded, right? It's about to level up, right? Come on, little boss. Kill them for me. Upgrade. 10 billion experience points was about to explode. Long Fei's heart quieted down as he confidently listened. The system rang out with an incomparably wonderful prompt. Ding! Chapter 2721, System Update. Chapter 2721, System Update. Hearing the beautiful system beep, Long Fei's heart relaxed. No matter what, as long as the system beep rang, he could be considered to have killed the monster. Otherwise, his work would have been in vain. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Evil Spirit Alchemy Technique Western Techniques for obtaining 1800 experience, 100 true spiritual value, 1 universal value. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Evil Spirit Alchemy Technique. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Life Essence number 1. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Innate True Pill number 1. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for entering Universal Realm. Ding! System notification. Player has entered Universal Realm. System update. Time to update. 2 hours. Ding! System notification. Players are unable to use all the functions of the system while the system is being updated. Ding! System update start. A series of notifications. Looked at the system beep, looked at the experience and things that the old man Shi Fa had obtained, and his expression trembled slightly. True spiritual value? This should be the Universal Realms blue, right? What is universal value? System update. What did you update this time? I'm really looking forward to it. Long Fei looked at the progress bar that appeared in his mind and exhaled lightly. I'm really not used to not being able to use the system for 2 hours. Every time you enter a plane system, it will be updated. There will be many different things. Right now, Long Fei was worried that the system would update whatever it had. For example, his 100 charm value points. If the update was erased, then he would be in big trouble. At the very least, charm value at full strength could be extremely useful sometimes, such as seduction, young woman, the young girl, or something. And then again, would Long Fei's own ancient inheritance power be updated? Would it become systematic? How does an underworld fire cultivate? How do I cultivate decaying power? If it were just 2 sets of cultivation techniques, then cultivating it would be a problem for Long Fei in proficiency, and it would be much easier. But if that wasn't the case, then Long Fei must think of a way to cultivate them, and must not let these 2 powerful ancient inheritance powers be wasted just like that. Master System, please evolve and produce more things. It would be best for you to unravel the memories of my seal. Otherwise, I need you to give me even more power. Amipa. Long Fei prayed in his heart. At this time, the desiccated corpse man with a severed arm was dead in front of the old man Shi Fa, yet his entire body was stiff before he died. Long Fei said, all right, both of you are dead. Even if I die, I will blow up his chrysanthemum. Just as I entered the Universal Realm, before I could even touch the hands of the Universal Realms girls, I was brought to this damned place and took 100 years of my lifespan. If it wasn't for my life, I would have died already. If I don't vent my anger properly, I won't stop. 100 years of longevity. A whole 100 years. How many 100 years does life have? As he spoke, he felt like crying. I can't even win a girl from Universal Realm before I die. The girl I want to woo is my dream. Before even getting a chance to soak in the water, my chrysanthemum was first destroyed. I won't believe it if I don't break him. Look at how handsome I used to be. Tall and strong, what does it look like now? It's like I'm a desiccated corpse that doesn't let a woman suck up all of it. How do you make those girls look at me? Long Fei took out the life essence that had just exploded out, threw it onto the body of the dried corpse, and said, "This should be a pill that was refined using your life force." He looked at the life essence in his hand, then looked at Long Fei and said with a bit of shock, This is 100 years of longevity." Long Fei replied, "I know." The mummified man with the severed arm said, "Are you just going to give it to me like this?" Long Fei said, "What's wrong? You don't want it? If you don't want it, then bring it back." Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, the desiccated corpse man immediately swallowed the pill and laughed. Yes, of course I want it. Life essences were incomparably important to the people who had just entered the universal realm. Warriors who successfully passed the heavenly tribulation and entered the universal realm did not have a big breakthrough. At most, they only had a lifespan of 100 years. Having his lifespan extracted from 100 years, his lifespan was already insufficient. It won't be long before I die of old age. As for others, this 100-year life essence could increase their lifespan by 100 years. Time was everything to them. As long as they had time, they could change their fates. But Long Fei gave it to him without even batting an eye. Even with his longevity, the one-armed, dried corpse felt extremely grateful in his heart. The life essence swallowed it. His body was suffused with a layer of red. His complexion had improved, and his hair had turned dark. It was just that his body hadn't recovered its height yet, but he still looked like a shriveled, mummified corpse. However, he could feel the strong longevity. The mummified man with the severed arm stood up and said, "Thank you. From today onwards, you will be my boss. If you let me go west, I will absolutely not go east. Unless there is a peerless beauty to the east. Boss, my name is Tandapeo." Long Fei laughed. He needed someone to protect him at the moment, too. The system was still updating. There were still a few other people in the shuttle and a black slave. Black slaves alone were enough to kill all of them. Moreover, just now, Tandapeo had pounced on him. Otherwise, if he wanted to kill Xie easily, he would need some time. Long Fei said, "My name is Long Fei." Tandapeo immediately asked, "Brother Fei, how did you do that?" "He's actually hiding in the midst of a medicinal pill." Long Fei replied, "I was just lucky." Since Long Fei did not say anything, Tandapeo did not question him further. However, to him, Long Fei was very powerful. Furthermore, Long Fei had helped him take revenge and even took back his lifespan. Just these 2 points alone were enough to make Tandapeo admire him. At this time, Tandapeo looked at the 2 people not too far away and disdainfully said, "Call me Brother Fei." The 2 of them immediately called out, "Brother Fei, Brother Fei." Tandapeo said fiercely, "Useless bastards, if it wasn't for Brother Fei, all of you would have been turned into pills." Yes. "Thank you, Brother Fei. Thank you, Brother Fei." The 2 of them quickly spoke up. Tandapeo snorted disdainfully, then looked at Sifa's corpse on the ground and said, "Brother Fei, what do we do with this guy's corpse? I also heard this time that he is going to some western regions to hand over his mission. Now that he is dead, what should we do?" This was indeed a problem. It was easy to deal with the corpses, but what if he reached the western regions? Just as Long Fei was thinking about this, a pair of dark, cold eyes stared at him from within the darkness. Long Fei's expression tightened and said faintly, "Come out." The black slave slowly walked out of the darkness, holding the long, curved sickle in his hand. When the 2 saw the black slave, they immediately kneeled and said, "It was them who killed your master. It's them. It has nothing to do with us. It's them." Swoosh, swoosh. The 2 sickles slashed down. The 2 of them were like weak chickens. Their heads were cut off in a flash. The black slave stared at Long Fei with sinister eyes. His gaze was incomparably cold. Chapter 2722, Western Regions. Chapter 2722, Western Regions. All the people here were captured by the black slaves. it could be said. Moreover, two of them had even instantly their throats cut off, and Long Fei were the only ones left behind. The black slave's gloomy eyes carried a cold glint as he stared straight at Long Fei. Tandapeo lowered her voice and said, "Wait for him to come up. I'll hold him back. You think of a way to make a move." Long Fei stood where he was and looked at the black slave. The two of them looked at each other for 3 minutes. In these 3 minutes, Long Fei's palms broke out in a cold sweat. Because the system was still updating, he still had not reached the level. Even if he obtained the experience from killing the Western FA, he should have leveled up, but because the system had upgraded, he did not. He was still level 0. Moreover, he had experienced the black slave's methods. Not wasting any time with you, just kill him. 3 minutes was a type of torment, but there wasn't even the slightest bit of fear in Long Fei's eyes. Instead, he was abnormally calm. "You killed him?" the black slave coldly asked as he glanced at the corpse of Sifa. Long Fei replied, "Yes." The black slave's eyes became even more sinister, as if she wanted to see through Long Fei. Then, he stared at Long Fei for a few minutes. Tandapeo couldn't take it anymore. His mind was about to explode. He immediately shouted out, "If you want to kill me, go ahead, stop wasting my breath." After he finished speaking, the black slave silently turned around and once again walked into the darkness. He didn't say anything. It was a little sudden, but in the end, the sinister coldness in his eyes disappeared. Huff! When Tandapeo saw the black slave disappear into the darkness, he let out a long breath and fell flat on his butt. His entire body was drenched in sweat as he said fiercely, "This is too unbearable. Universal Realm is truly worthy of being called a Universal Realm. A slave has such a powerful aura. I was almost crushed by him. We really didn't come here." Huff, 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 huff. Tandapeo panted heavily and said with a grin, "Why did he leave in the end? Do you know he can't escape? Wait to kill us." Long Fei's heart relaxed, and he shook his head. "I don't know." He opened up the system and checked. The system update was still more than an hour away. Zhang Xian panicked. "System Grandpa, hurry up too. Sooner or later, your father will die in your hands." Long Fei grumbled in his heart. The system update was so... Why did he have to take back the function of the system? As a result, his body had been upgraded and yet to recover. This point was truly fatal. Tandapeo said, "I hope they don't appear again. I really can't take it anymore." Long Fei said indifferently, "If we didn't make a move just now, we probably wouldn't have made a move." In other words, he would not make a move on Long Fei and the others anymore. Moreover, it could be seen that the black slave hated the West FA very much. He was as black as a man from a coal mine. This wasn't what they looked like in the sky. It was definitely because of the alchemy or the drugs that they were given, causing their skin to change in such a way. If Long Fei did not guess wrong, the black slave had a deep grudge against Western law. That's good. That's good. As long as we don't do anything, it's fine. It's not easy to pass through the tribulation and enter the universal realm. Otherwise, before the universal realm can enter, he'll die. This is too tragic. Tandapeo leaned on one side and looked at his missing arm, and his brows slightly tightened. They really lost an arm before they even entered the universal realm. If his arm was missing life, then it was still there. If his life was still there, then everything was still possible. Long Fei said, "Let's take a break. We should be arriving soon." Tandapeo immediately closed his eyes and rested, then muttered, "Wait until Tandapeo, find the energy crystal. Then let's see who the F*** king dares to touch this daddy here." Long Fei also slightly closed his eyes. System update, 39%. I still want a lot of time. I wonder what will happen after this update. The system update was just like the game update. There would definitely be big changes. A change you can't foresee. All of this was controlled by the game settings. Long Fei had also thought about who designed the system in his mind. Those alien creatures? Or were they the powerhouse S of the great emperor in the void? This game system is too advanced. One day I'll find out. I don't like being controlled. Long Fei secretly clenched his fists, His mind recovered from the progress of the system update. Looking at the dark sky, he said secretly, I wonder how is the leopard girl? If the leopard girl can decipher my memories of the seal, then wouldn't finding someone I know in the past mean that she will be able to decipher the seal? And my father, is that person being held by my father in Dragon Abyss Dungeon? And mother, Dragon Clan, God's tribe, all of you, just you wait. Thinking about Long Fei, he also couldn't help but slowly fall asleep. Too tired. From the Magic Tribe's territory to the Divine Capital, then from the Divine Capital's escape, to here, Long Fei had not slept for even an hour. Now that he had entered the Universal Realm, his body could no longer take it, and he fell asleep in a few minutes. After an unknown period of time. Boss, wake up. We're here. We're here. Tandapeo gently pushed Long Fei a few times. Long Fei's eyelids were heavy. He slowly opened them and discovered that the light outside was dazzling, and his entire body instantly bounced up from the ground. Where are we? Tandapeo said excitedly. We're at Universal Realm. We're finally here, huh? Tandapeo pointed to a huge city not far away and said, Quickly look, that should be the western regions that old Western FA monster is talking about. Long Fei looked over, and his expression tightened. It was simply not a city at all. It was a mountain range that stretched endlessly. The city walls towered above the clouds. This city, too powerful. Long Fei had seen many big cities. Zhanwu Continent and Songlan Continent were also considered big cities. They were all extremely majestic. But, compared to the East Imperial City in front of him, those cities seemed like little imps. The difference was too great. Long Fei was stunned. Tandapeo said, This city is King big. If I were to use my feet to walk, I probably won't be able to go around once in 10 years, right? This is the Universal Realm. Ha ha, too domineering. Long Fei was also secretly excited. We have finally arrived. We have finally arrived at Universal Realm. How long have I been asleep? Tandapeo replied. I don't know. I just woke up a while ago. And then, Long Fei quickly opened up the system to check. System update, 98%. I'm just 2% away from completing the update. System, what kind of changes can you bring about? At this moment, the flying shuttle began to slow down. They flew toward the huge piece of flat ground inside the East Imperial City. It was also at this time. The black slave walked out, looked at Long Fei, and coldly said, You killed Western FA, so if you can't hand over the plague pill, you will die very quickly. Chapter 27-23. He is the great master of the West. Chapter 27-23. He is the great master of the West. After the black slave finished speaking, he disappeared into the darkness. He was standing in the dark, and you couldn't see him as long as he didn't speak. Tandapeo was also shocked and said, I heard from old man Shi Fa that he came to Western regions to hand in his mission, and that he handed over his plague pill. What do we do now? Long Fei secretly frowned. What should he do? He didn't know. However, he could still be sure of his alchemy. Long Fei said, There's no rush. Let's go down and take a look. There was only a little bit of time before the system would be updated. When that happened, everything would be fine. East Imperial City, Lawn Mansion. Master, the flying shuttle of the evil spirit alchemy master, Shi Fa, is about to land. Sifa, the evil spirit alchemy master who promised to refine the plague pill for us. A middle-aged scholar with blue hair stood atop his head. A strand of blue hair. This is the beauty of Lan clan's blood vein. The middle-aged man's name is Lan Yuan. He was the current patriarch of the Lan Mansion. A ray of light flashed across Lan Yuan's eyes, and he said, Immediately send people to receive him. Do not be negligent. The guard immediately said, As you command. Although evil spirit alchemy masters were alchemy masters of the evil faction, none of them could be easily offended, especially this kind of evil sect alchemy master. The consequence of offending someone was that they might end up dying for no reason. Lawn Mansion was a huge clan within the East Imperial City, so even then, they did not dare to easily offend an alchemy master. visible. Alchemy masters had a very high status in the universal realm. The guard walked out and a woman walked out. Lan Mei, her head of cool blue hair, was different from a strand of Lan Yuan's. She had a head full of blue hair, which also meant that her Lan clan blood vein was incredibly pure. Lan Mei asked, "Daddy, do you really want to use the plague pill?" Lan Yuan was silent for a moment, then said slightly, "There is no other way. The Black Prison Valley's beasts are too strong. They are too concentrated. We can only try with the plague pill." Lan Mei said, "Daddy, the plague pill's killing potential is too great. Once they lose control, they can scatter and harm innocent people, and East Imperial City clearly forbids the use of this kind of evil spirit pellet." "Daddy, I'm fine. If I can't cultivate, then I won't. It's enough as long as I have Father's protection," Lan Mei said stubbornly. It was because of this that an incomparably pure Lan clan blood vein had long hair. Her blood vein was too pure and strong, causing his meridians to be unable to withstand it. He had cultivated for 3 years, and all the meridians in his body were blocked, unable to continue. She had also become a joke in the East Imperial City. He could not cultivate a pure blood vein, and also made the Lan clan become a joke. Lan clan blood vein S were useless. As for Lan Yuan, as the patriarch, the pressure on him was incomparably huge. He was obviously a super genius. How could he become a trash? All these years, he had been searching for the antidote, until half a year ago, when he found a type of spirit grass in an ancient book. As long as he could find this kind of spirit grass, he would be able to help Lan Mei clear his meridians. It was just that. The Black Prison Valley was one of the most dangerous places within the western regions, and was also known as the Mortal Forbidden Area. No one would be able to come out alive. Demon beasts ran rampant, demons and devils ran amok, and all kinds of powerful demon beasts filled the entire valley. Ordinary people would not be able to enter, so Lan Yuan wanted to use the plague pill to poison everyone in the valley. Lan Yuan lightly patted his daughter's shoulder and said, "Don't worry, I will control it well. At that time, when your third uncle, fourth uncle, and I go into the valley, we will definitely be able to bring that spirit grass back." Lan Mei said, "Besides Black Prison Valley's Black Prison God grass, isn't there another method? Can you use another method?" Indeed, other than Black Prison God grass S, there was another method. This method was relatively simple. To make use of a holy vein, it must be a blazing, majestic attributed blood vein, must be a male. The two of them combined the blood vein's power on Lan Mei's body in order to clear the blocked meridians. This way was also fine. However, the holy vein in universal realm were too rare. Furthermore, due to the blazing heat, majestic attribute blood vein S were even rarer among the holy vein. Hot, magnificent must be those super divine beasts, illusory Kylan, golden peacock, god king tiger. These could only be considered normal super divine beast S. To the blocked meridian on Lan Mei's body, the best combination of blood vein was dragon blood. However, to East Imperial City of the East Imperial City, dragon bloodline blood vein was an impossible task. Actually, Lan Yuan also knew in his heart that there was a super divine beast in the East Imperial City, and that it met the standard of strength. He couldn't allow his daughter to be associated with a man who was like a tyrant. He would rather risk going to the Black Prison Valley than let that evil young master ruin his daughter. Moreover, he had tentatively asked Lan Mei before, and even if he were to die, Lan Mei would not agree. Lan Yuan smiled lightly. "The other method is more difficult. Don't worry, as long as you get the plague pill, and third uncle, fourth uncle's strength should be enough. Daddy knows how hard you work, and how much you want to cultivate. Daddy will definitely let you step onto the path of martial arts again." Lan Yuan secretly clenched his fists. No matter what the price was, even if it was his own life, he would make his daughter cultivate anew. As a martial artist, not being able to cultivate was even worse than death. The mission was difficult, but no matter what, he would try. He couldn't lift the Lan clan to a new height, but as long as Lan Mei was able to clear her meridians with her talent, she would definitely be able to let Lan clan step into the peak of perfection. Lan Mei's blood vein is the history of the Lan clan. The other most powerful person was the first patriarch. Long Fei and Tandapeo walked down the flying shuttle. The black slave did not come down. Instead, he stood at the entrance of the flying shuttle and glanced at Long Fei. Long Fei looked at him and said, "Aren't you coming down?" The black slave glanced at the scorching sun outside, slightly shook his head, and then coldly said, "I wish you good luck." In that instant, bam, the shuttle door closed. Tandapeo disdainfully said, "Damn." Long Fei looked at the vast plaza and thought to himself, "I didn't expect there to be an airport in this alternate world. How awesome!" Tandapeo was just like Grandma Lu who entered the large ornamental garden. She said excitedly, "The universal realm is just different, powerful indeed, powerful indeed." Without waiting for them to sigh. At this time, a dozen tight uniformed disciples and an old man walked over. They looked at Long Fei and asked, "Which one of you is Master Shi Fa?" Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Tandapeo looked at Long Fei and carefully became on guard. The black slave was right. The West Fa was really here to hand in the mission. The situation didn't look good because these disciples all had a trace of killing intent on their faces. Long Fei's ability to sense killing intent was far beyond ordinary and could clearly sense it. Long Fei's throat shook and asked, "Who are you?" The old man looked at Long Fei and said, "You don't need to care who we are. You only need to answer where Grandmaster Shi Fa is." Tandapeo did not know where these people came from, but upon hearing the elder address him with such respect, he immediately replied, "He is Grandmaster Shi Fa. Why aren't you quickly bowing to Great Master Shi Fa when you see him?" The old man's lips curled up into a cold smile. Table of Contents. Table of Contents. Long Fei's heart trembled. F***K, a pig teammate, Tandapeo, did not sense any killing intent. Moreover, he also wanted to use his name to frighten the other party. However, when he saw the sneer on the old man's face, his heart sank as he thought, "Crap." The old man said, "Lord Shi Fa, follow us." It was also at this time. A dozen or so disciples instantly surrounded Long Fei. Tandapeo yelled, "What are you guys trying to do? Who are you? To dare treat Master Western Law like this? Do you believe that Master's evil pill will make you all go down to the underworld?" The dozen or so disciples instantly froze. Their gazes all turned towards the old man. The old man's eyes secretly tightened as he spoke indifferently. "Grandmaster Shi Fa, we do not have any intention of harming you. However, it is best for you to cooperate. Otherwise, some unpleasant things will happen." The old man's eyes widened. Immediately, the dozen disciples took another step forward and narrowed the encirclement. The demonic pill masters were indeed terrifying, but this is the East Imperial City, and once a demonic pill refiner got close enough, he would have a hard time using it. Tandapeo looked at Long Fei with anxiety. He did not know what Long Fei was thinking. Long Fei remained calm as he quickly analyzed the situation. These people must have never seen the old man Shi Fa before. Otherwise, they wouldn't have recognized the wrong person. And I can tell that these people are more or less afraid of the Western Law, but it seems like the evil sex alchemy masters are still something to be afraid of. But are these people Western people who want a hand in a mission? Let's take a gamble. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "What is your goal? Is it also a plague pill?" As soon as he finished, the old man's gaze tensed up, and he muttered softly, "Lan Clan really wants the plague pill." The old man's eyes flashed. He looked at Long Fei and said, "Seems like Lord Shi Fa is very clear about why we're here. Not bad. Our goal is indeed the plague pill." Long Fei said, "I am a very easygoing person. If you want the plague pill, double the price. I will give it to you immediately." After all, who in the world can be more expensive? The elder's eyes narrowed. "I wonder how much is double the price." Long Fei did not dare to say anything carelessly. After all, he did not even know what the price of a plague pill would be, so he just raised two of his fingers. The old man's gaze darkened. He was a bit shocked as he said, 20 million Grand Miss crystals? Tendapeo's eyes suddenly opened wide. He was so shocked that he couldn't even speak as he looked at Long Fei in shock. 20 million. Long Fei still carried a very high and profound look, appearing very calm. There wasn't a single ripple in his eyes, and he gently smiled, saying, "Not bad. You know what's good?" Long Fei thought in his heart, "Damn, if I don't have the money in the future, I can definitely make a fortune with my alchemy. A single pill can produce 20 million grand mist crystals. This is just too amazing." The old man looked at Long Fei. Long Fei was too calm. He had the appearance of an expert. Acting cool, no one was stronger than Long Fei. The elder slightly said, "I must ask the clan leader for 20 million. What do you think about this? Why don't you follow me back to the manor and discuss it before deciding on a course of action?" Long Fei said, "There's no need to go to your residence. We'll wait on the flying shuttle." While they were talking, Long Fei said to Tandapeo, "All right, let's go back." As he spoke, he began to walk in the direction of the flying shuttle. The elder's eyes darkened as he said coldly, "Wait." Long Fei stopped and did not look back as he said, "What's wrong? Is there a problem?" The old man said, "Master, I have come today to invite you to follow me back to the manor. Either you come with me, or you hand over the plague pill if not." Tandapeo was sweating profusely. Long Fei was still very calm and said coldly, "Otherwise, what would happen?" The old man said, "Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. I know that the cultivation of your evil sex alchemy masters is not very high, so don't be disrespectful, Lord Shi-Fa." As soon as he finished, a dozen guards drew their weapons. However, at this moment, they immediately retreated a few steps, because, at this moment, Long Fei was holding a pitch-black medicinal pellet in his hand, and he said coldly, "I never know what it means to be tactful. You're right, our alchemy technique is indeed not very good, but I'm not feeling well. No one should have any good thoughts. Do you want to try the taste of the plague pill?" The old man's expression trembled, and his body lightly trembled. Looking at the black-colored pellet in Long Fei's hands, his eyes narrowed, and he said faintly, "Sir, you're not joking about your own life, are you?" Long Fei said, "I have the antidote. What am I afraid of? It's you people. When your bodies rot and become like smallpox, you will die wherever you go." "Stop me. Stop another one to take a look." Tandapeo looked at Long Fei. He was very clear in his heart that the pellet in Long Fei's hand was not plague pill at all, because, if they made a mistake, the two of them would die a horrible death. They were in a deadlock for a moment. The old man and Long Fei looked at each other. The old man's eyes were fixated on the pellet in Long Fei's hands, while Long Fei was calmly facing everything, yet his heart was flipped upside down. "The heck, are you scared of me? Why aren't you leaving? I can't even continue pretending with this." His back was soaked. Just as Tandapeo had said, if one revealed even a little bit of it, one would die. The two of them didn't have any military value, not to mention the old man. Perhaps he wouldn't even be able to beat a guard disciple. Half a minute passed. The elder relaxed a bit and said, "Sir, what do you think about this? I sent someone back to discuss it with the clan leader and give you an answer as soon as possible. After all, it's 20 million grand mist crystals. That's not a small number." Without waiting for Long Fei's consent, the old man winked at one of the guards. The guard quickly ran out. Long Fei's heart sank. Tandapeo said, "Brother Fei, they are calling for reinforcements." Long Fei also understood very clearly in his heart. However, not even half a minute after the guard left, the guard ran back in a flurry. He was in a hurry, and his eyebrows were tightly knitted. He looked very anxious. The old man was also secretly surprised. It would take at least half an hour to get here, and he was already back? The guard whispered into the old man's ear. The old man's expression changed. He stared at Long Fei and bellowed, "Kill!" The dozen or so disciples were also startled and instantly attacked. Long Fei's pupils shrank, and he shouted, "Who among you will come up? I have released the plague pill." More than a dozen disciples did not stop at all. Long Fei pinched both of his fingers and shouted loudly, "If you want to die, die together." Those disciples were slightly taken aback. Tandapeo was also shocked. Long Fei looked at the dazed Tandapeo and immediately asked, "What are you standing there for? Hurry up and run." He quickly threw it towards the flying shuttle. As long as he got on the flying shuttle, he would be able to escape. However, without waiting for them to catch up, the flying shuttle immediately rose into the air, disappearing from the sky in an instant. The old man picked up the black pill that Long Fei had pinched into a ball, placed it on his nose, and took a whiff. Pooey. What bullshit. Take him down. Tindapeo's eyes darkened. Damn, we're finished now. F***CK. Long Fei said in a heavy voice. Looking at the system, there was still a bit more time to update. It was now the final 1%. Chapter 2725, Step by Step. Chapter 2725, Step by Step. The update progress bar was a bit slow at the last 1%. Long Fei wasn't sure when it would be completed. It was too late to rely on the system now. Long Fei withdrew the system, his gaze looking at the guards who were rushing over. He glanced at Tandapeo and said, "If you can't escape, then kill." Tandapeo looked a little down. "Brother Fei, how do we kill him? He's not a match at all. Any one of them could have killed us easily. We're done for." I didn't even get a hold of the Universal Realm Girl's hand. Tandapeo's biggest wish was to get the prettiest woman in the Universal Realm. His dream was powerful, but reality was cruel. Attack! In the distance. The old man stomped the black medicinal pill on the ground into a pile of mud and said fiercely, "Are you trying to tease me? I'll make you die today." A dozen or so guards instantly attacked. Long Fei's mind moved. It's time for you to live or die. So at least let me release your power, right? Monochrome did not speak. Long Fei moved, wanting to activate the black and white power, but he did not. "No." Long Fei bellowed. "What do you mean?" Black and white said, "It's not time yet. I'm going to die soon. It's not time yet." Seeing that the guards were about to rush over and stop them with a single move, wasn't this the right time to do so? It was also at this time. Tandapeo's eyes widened in shock, and he said, "Brother Fei, another wave of people have come. This is it. This time, I'm really going to die." If this wave of people could not be dealt with, then another wave? It was really impossible to escape now. However, Long Fei looked at the other group of people who were dressed differently, and he was secretly shocked in his heart. Could it be that they're the ones who are going to be handed the mission from Old Man Xie? In the distance, the old man's expression also became tense. A dozen disciples with blue hair on their heads rushed forward. The elderly stared at Long Fei and bellowed, "Withdraw." While they were talking, the old man quickly stood to the side, and the dozen disciples also instantly retreated. He came fast, he retreated fast. She disappeared in the blink of an eye. Tandapeo sat his butt on the ground and said, "Mother, you are being too pretentious. I thought I was going to die. I really can't stay in Universal Realm. In a day's time, I almost died a few times. It's too thrilling. Luckily, I don't have a heart attack. Otherwise, I would definitely have died suddenly." Huff, 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 huff. Seeing the group of people who were rushing over at full speed, Tandapeo slightly shrank back and said, "Brother Fei, we wouldn't be going back into the wolf's lair after getting out of the tiger's den, right?" A middle-aged man walked up and said, "Lord Xie, I apologize for scaring you. We came late." Long Fei still maintained his calm demeanor, but his voice was slightly cold, and he said, "You all still know you came late?" Tindapeo was also not in a good mood. "We almost died." The middle-aged man immediately lowered his head. "I am truly sorry, and I hope that Sire will forgive me." Long Fei shouted, "Forgive what? This transaction has been canceled. The plague pill you want is gone." East Imperial City was a bad place. Furthermore, he didn't have a system nor a level, so it would be extremely dangerous to stay here for more than a second. It seemed like if those people retreated, they would definitely not let this matter rest. Moreover, Long Fei was very clear that the group of people were not coming for him, but the people with blue hair on their heads. Once he was involved, it would be even more difficult to survive. Right now, the most important thing to do was to leave the East Imperial City as soon as possible. However, The East Imperial City could not even be described as a city. It was simply a huge empire. The buildings were endless, situated on top of various mountain peaks. Moreover, the city walls that towered in the sky were even harder to reach. The city walls were used for defense. What were these walls used for? No one knew. Demon Beast. The time outside would be even more dangerous. However, Long Fei was more willing to fight with the Demon Beast than to get involved in the conflict between the clans in East Imperial City. Tandapeo was also aware of this point, and said, "Did you hear Lord Shi Fa's words clearly? If the trade is cancelled, then scram. If you don't, then don't blame us for being impolite." It was the king's way to leave as soon as possible. The middle-aged man's eyebrows tightened, and said, "This Patriarch told me that I must bring Lord Shi Fa back to the palace. And, Lord, just now I saw your flying shuttle leaving immediately. If you want to leave the East Imperial City, you must have another flying shuttle. As long as you are willing to follow me back to the Lawn Mansion, I am willing to provide you with a new flying shuttle." Tandapeo said heavily, "You can't leave without a flying shuttle? Is it possible that there are no city gates or something in East Imperial City?" Within a circumference of millions of kilometers, everyone knew that there were no city gates. There was only one way to enter the East Imperial City, and that was to fly in a flying shuttle and say, "There really aren't any city gates in the East Imperial City." "No," Tendapeo's eyes widened. "That's impossible, right? With a city wall, there should be a city gate." He was in disbelief. Long Fei was the same. He was secretly shocked in his heart. Damn, there isn't even a city gate. What kind of demon beast are they defending against? He was shocked, but on the surface, Long Fei looked like he already knew about it. The middle-aged man said, "This is because the location of the East Imperial City is a little special, located at the center of the city. Outside of the city gates are the Ghost Caves, Night Valley, Ice Plains, and Worm Caves of the Western regions. The demon beast in these places are all extremely powerful. The city walls are built to better defend these demon beasts. Ghastly Cave, Nightbone, Ice Plains, Wormhole." Long Fei silently recited this sentence, recording these words in his heart. The stronger the demon beast, the more excited he would be. The stronger they were, the more experience they would gain. A great place to level up. Tandapeo's face was full of shock, but he pretended not to be afraid at all and said, "So what? Do you think we can't fly out of this city wall? I'm telling you that the might of the Lord Shi Fa is something that you all are simply unable to touch." "Poochie, ha!" Several guards behind the middle-aged man laughed. Long Fei said indifferently, "The city walls cannot be flown out." The middle-aged man continued, "It's clear that unless one is a saint-level powerhouse, the walls of the East Imperial City are unable to fly out. We'll talk about it later." The middle-aged man looked at Long Fei and lowered his voice, saying, "Sir, those people just now were the people from the southern. They have their eyes on you." The meaning was very simple. If you do not return to Lawn Mansion, you will have nowhere to go. Long Fei said indifferently, "So you're saying we have no other choice?" The middle-aged man said, "Sir, please come back with us. The Patriarch is ready." Long Fei pondered for a moment, then said, "Since that's the case, then lead the way." Tendapeo pulled Long Fei back and said in a low voice, "Brother Fei, we don't have any plague pill." Long Fei said, "If you don't stay here, you'll just be waiting for death. One step at a time." Chapter 27-26, Bewildering Waves, Vulgar Development. Chapter 27-26, Bewildering Waves, Vulgar Development. The danger level of Universal Realm exceeded Long Fei's expectations. Forget about the inside of the East Imperial City. Just the wall surrounding it was enough to explain everything. Here, Demon Beast was king. The strongest overlord in the western regions was not a human, nor was it a member of any other race. It was a demon beast. In the western region's domain, the East Imperial City was like the last piece of pure land. Exit the city? I'm afraid the outcome will be dangerous. At least there was a chance of staying in the city. First, Let's not waste any time and develop in a wretched manner. Systems. Waiting for level increase. When the time comes, nothing would be a problem. This was Long Fei's current plan. Tandapeo's heart was a mess. He was very careful along the way. No one knew what he was thinking. An hour later, they finally arrived at their destination. Lan Mansion. It was located on a small hill. The middle-aged man's name was Lan Yi. He stood at the entrance of the Lan Mansion and made an inviting gesture towards Long Fei, saying, "Master, we have arrived." And then, a disciple quickly ran out and said to Blue Forest, "Elder, the Patriarch wants you to bring the guests to the main hall." Lan Yi nodded and said, "Please follow me. The Patriarch has been waiting for a long time." At this time, Long Fei took a step forward and asked, "Does your Patriarch recognize me? This is the first time we have met. I heard that this is also the first time you have come to East Imperial City." Long Fei gave Tandapeo a look and immediately pretended to be stupid. "Then how do you know that my master can refine Plague Pill?" Lan Yi said, "This is very simple. We only need to issue the mission to the Evil Sex Pill Alliance. The one who accepts this mission is your Lord Xie. Long Fei nodded in his heart and thought, "So that's how it is. As long as you haven't seen it before. Evil Sex Pill Alliance. Seems like it's specially used for evil medicine masters like Xie to use evil alchemy." Tandapeo became more worried after entering the Lan Mansion. Like him, Long Fei had just ascended into Universal Realm and killed Western Fa Sure. If the Evil Sex Pill Alliance found out about this, the two of them would definitely be hunted down. Moreover, let alone the Evil Sex Pill Alliance, they couldn't even fool them right now. "Ha! Welcome! Welcome, my lord!" From the old distance, Lan Yuan went forward to welcome them. But, looking at Long Fei's age and appearance, she was slightly stunned, but she did not reveal it. After all, it was impossible to see a person's age clearly from the appearance of this world. Furthermore, he was an alchemy master of an evil sect. Face-preserving pill and disguise pill were normal things. Long Fei maintained his calm demeanor and smiled faintly. A few middle-aged men sat in the hall. As they saw Long Fei walk into the hall, they also stood up slightly. They looked like they were not ordinary people, but they were afraid of Long Fei, which showed the status of an alchemist. After they sat down, Lan Yuan also immediately went straight to the point. "I apologize for the unpleasant things that Yans has done to you. In addition to the price of the plague pill, I will also add another 100,000 Grand Mist crystals as spiritual compensation." He had used 100,000 Grand Mist crystals as soon as he had attacked. The Lan clan was powerful. Tandapeo's eyes tensed up. He looked at Long Fei and started talking about Plague Pill S. If he couldn't take it out, this was their headquarters. If they couldn't get the pill out, would they be able to leave so easily? Lan Yuan flipped his right hand, and a space ring appeared in his palm. "This is the primordial crystal I prepared for you. Take a look." While he was speaking, the few elders in the hall all looked at the space ring in Lan Yuan's hand. That was more than 2 years of Lan clan's income. But it was a super number. Tandapeo closed his eyes. His heart was thumping hard. We're finished. We can't take out the pills. We're done for now." He was sitting like a needle right now. Long Fei looked at the system and cursed in his heart. "System, are you a dead man? Was it their broken net? Not even 1% had been updated completely? Your sister." The update was still incomplete. Long Fei almost couldn't hold it anymore. Lan Yuan looked at Long Fei and said, "Master, your plague pill." The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted slightly. He smiled and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't manage to refine it." Tandapeo's heart skipped a beat. He secretly clenched his fists and stored his strength. No matter what, he was not a sitting duck. Even if he couldn't win, he still had to try. The entire hall was stunned. They were all staring at Long Fei. Lan Yuan's pupils also violently contracted as her voice became somewhat downcast. "What did you say? He didn't refine it? Then why did you come to the East Imperial City to hand over your mission?" A man said lightly, "Patriarch, since there are no plague pill, I think we should forget about it." "Right. This might be fate. 10 million Grand Mist crystals is the income our Lan clan earned over the past few years. It has affected the cultivation of many people, so it's fine if we can't refine a plague pill right now. The other elder followed along. To them, the deal was too big. Moreover, even obtaining the plague pill had a huge risk. Not just anyone could enter the Black Prison Valley. Even if the Black Prison God grass inside could open up Lan Mei's block meridian, it would be a different story. Lan Yuan did not care. Staring straight at Long Fei, he suddenly said, "If you are not Sifa, then who are you?" It was as if he had seen through Long Fei. Tandapeo almost fell down from his chair, his entire body shivering, but he looked at Long Fei as calm as ever, not even moving an inch. "Aren't you afraid of that?" Long Fei smirked and said, "I am indeed not Lord Xie. Plop. This time, Tandapeo really couldn't hold it in and fell off the chair and started trembling inside. Lan Yuan's gaze tensed up. At the same time, the two elders who were just talking suddenly stood up and stared at Long Fei. "Kid, who are you? What is the purpose of the alchemy masters of the evil sect Pill Alliance entering our lawn mansion? If you don't explain yourself today, don't even think about stepping half a step out of here." In an instant, the hall was filled with killing intent. 2 rows of guards quickly surrounded the hall. Tandapeo stood up, standing behind Long Fei, and looked straight into the eyes of the 2 elders. Long Fei picked up the teacup and blew lightly on it, drinking a bit of the fragrant tea, then said slowly, "Even though I'm not a Western lord, I can refine plague pill S. You? Brat. I felt that something was wrong the moment you came in. Xie Fei is a very famous evil elixir alchemist. Even he couldn't guarantee that he would be able to refine 100%. Who do you think you are? Speak, what is your goal?" At this moment, Long Fei took out a medicinal pellet from his bosom and threw it into Lan Yuan's embrace, saying, "Innate pellet. This level is too trashy." Lan Yuan was startled. Another clan elder looked at Lan Yuan. "Is it really a talent pellet?" Lan Yuan nodded. And then, Lan Yuan looked at Long Fei and said, "Can you really refine plague pill?" He was eager. This was because he knew that the Black Prison God grass would mature in a few days. If he could not harvest it when it matured, then he would have to wait for 10 years. At this time, there was no time to give the Pill Alliance any more missions. Long Fei smiled lightly and said, "Yes." Chapter 27:27 Hong Meng's System. Chapter 27:27 Hong Meng's system. Even if he couldn't at this time, he had to at least say yes. If he said he couldn't, there would only be one outcome: death. Long Fei still did not want to die. He did not come to the universal realm to send himself to his death, but to rob the God's tribe. Lan Yuan said solemnly, "All right, I believe you, but I can only give you 3 days if you can't make it within 3 days." His voice changed as he said, "Then don't blame me for being impolite." Long Fei replied, "No problem." Lan Yuan said, "Also, for these 3 days, you are not allowed to go anywhere. You can only stay in the Lan clan. This is for your safety. Someone come. Take these 2 away. Without my order, no one is allowed to come close, and no one is allowed to leave even half a step. If they dare to leave, I will kill them without mercy." "Yes, sir." Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, the 4 guards stood beside Long Fei. Lan Yi said with a faint sound, "Please." Long Fei walked out calmly. Tandapeo also quickly followed. "Trust him. Refine plague pill in 3 days." "Patriarch, what are you thinking about?" A slightly older elder said disdainfully, "That brat's cultivation base is practically nothing. Even an alchemist wouldn't be able to have such a low cultivation level. Besides, that skinny arm is the same. The 2 of them are muggle." "That's not right. Muggles are only used to describe trash from the lower planes. They aren't even comparable to muggle. Their physiques can be said to be inferior to even beggars in East Imperial City, but you want to believe in them? 3 days. Humph. If you give him 30 years, he won't be able to refine a plague pill." Lan Yuan said, "I know he can't." That elder was slightly taken aback. "Then why did you give 3 days of time to him?" Lan Yuan said, "I am not giving him 3 more days. I am giving myself 3 days in this Yans. What is this nonsense? The elder said lightly. Lan Yuan said, Men spread the news, say that Lan clan has obtained the plague pill. What do you want to do? Are you crazy? You clearly know that the Yans is plotting against the plague pill, but you still want to announce it. Furthermore, we do not have any plague pill with us. The elder frowned. He did not understand Lan Yuan's decision. Lan Yuan said, I want to let the Yan snatch it away. What? What exactly do you want to do? Lan clan's strength is on par with Yan's, so any decision made here would likely end in failure. As long as you lose one time, Lan clan might not have any place in East Imperial City. Lan Yuan walked to the entrance of the hall, looked at the sky, and said, So, you cannot lose. This is crazy. You're crazy. I won't let you do that. Lan Yuan, I can't let you bet the fate of our clan on this. I definitely won't let you do this. The elder hurried out. Lan Bao walked over and said, Big brother, are we really going to do this? Lan Yuan smiled faintly and said, If I don't say it like that, how did Yans fall for it? The two of them were stunned. Lan Yuan said, Third brother, fourth brother, make some preparations. We will leave tonight. The only one who can change the fate of Lan clan is Lan Mei. Lan Bao said as he nodded heavily, Big brother, we were already prepared a long time ago. We were just waiting for you to say something. Lan Yuan said, All right, let's go tonight. We must collect them before the black prison god grass matures. At this time, Lan Hu asked and said, Master, that brat stayed in Lan clan? Should I? Lan Yuan said indifferently, The two of them should be low-level tribesmen caught from the unholy cave's long corridor. They have not received their baptism yet. Their physiques and talents have not been cleansed, making it difficult to move an inch in East Imperial City. If I let them stay for 3 days, that would allow them to live for 3 more days. From now on, it's up to them. Actually, Lan Yuan could already tell that there was something fishy. Just like now, although he did not believe that Long Fei could refine a plague pill, he still held onto a glimmer of hope. Understood. Big brother, let's go back and make some preparations. The two of them quickly left. Lan Yuan gently touched it with his right hand and grabbed a strand of blue hair on top of his head to his chest. Protect the Lan clan. Protect Lan Mei. You were once one of the Holy General's first powerhouse. All these years have passed, and Lan clan has never been able to reappear in your glory. If Lan Mei were to open up some channels, I believe that our Lan clan will definitely return to his position of primordial tyrant, the god of deep blue. He silently chanted a few sentences. You want our Yans to snatch the plague pill. Lan Yuan, oh Lan Yuan, your wishful thinking is really well thought out. But you never would have thought that your Lan clan had one of my people, right? Ha ha! Yans. The clan head, Yin Tianyang, laughed coldly. Patriarch, what should we do about the kid who popped out of the west? Should we send someone to settle this? Yin Tianyang disdainfully said, What kind of trouble can that trash create? Even if we give him 100 years' time, he won't be able to refine a plague pill. Ignore him. As long as there are no plague pill-s, Lan Yuan would not dare to take the risk and enter the Black Prison Valley. If you can't get the Black Prison God Grass, the super genius of Lan clan will always be a piece of trash. Before long, my Yans will ride on their heads and rush to the middle-leveled families in East Imperial City. 3 days. Only 3 days. Brother Fei, what do we do? Do we only have 3 days? My universal realm didn't even get a girl's hand, and you're already going to die. Tindapeo paced back and forth in the simple courtyard. He looked like an ant on a hot pan, very anxious. 3 days. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared just like that. Tandapeo walked to the entrance of the courtyard and looked outside through the crack in the door. Tandapeo walked back. This time I really can't escape. Longface sat on the stone block and closed his eyes to rest. He was thinking about what the Lan clan wanted the Plague Pill to do. Against whom? Using Plague Pill-S in the city was too risky and too cruel to kill. Even if he could defeat a strong enemy, the East Imperial City still had a stronger enemy, and he would definitely fight against them. If it wasn't to deal with the enemy, then who was it to deal with? The demon beast? What was his goal? Long Fei could tell that Lan Yuan was very anxious. Even if he knew that he was unable to refine a plague pill, there was still a sliver of hope in his eyes. Just as Long Fei was thinking about this, a voice resounded in his mind. Ding! System prompt. Update complete. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for activating Grand Mist System. Chapter 2728, Normal Practice Mode. Chapter 2728, Normal Practice Mode. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for activating Grand Mist System. As soon as he finished speaking, Long Fei's eyes slowly opened, revealing a look of unconcealable joy. Clenching his fists, he said in his heart, I'm finally done. Ding! System notification. Activating the primordial system. Activate. Long Fei moved, not hesitation. Ding! Opening system, 1%, 10%, 30%, 80%, 100%. System start completed. Buzz. The interface in Long Fei's mind suddenly turned. Personal attributes. Cultivation technique column. System soul treasure bar. System merchant shop. System roundtable lottery. System special mission bar. System special column. System unknown domain bar. Every attribute column was an interface which was different from before, but there didn't seem to be any big changes. In fact, the big aspects wouldn't change much. Just like a game, the update was just there to adjust the details, character details, skill details, map details, item details, etc. It couldn't possibly change greatly. The system was the same, from Zhenwu continent to Universal Realm. It was just a change in the map. No matter how it changed. Actually, to Long Fei, there was only one thing he wanted, to level up after killing monsters. It was the same in any other world. The level was always the most important. As long as he could kill monsters and level up his killing experience, breaking through would only mean how much experience points he had left. Check your stats. Long Fei wanted to understand his current stats. Player, Long Fei rank. First level of Warrior Realm, Soldier, General Yuan, Spiritual Master, Hybrid Witch, Celestial Phenomenon, Grand Sage, Supreme Realm, Emperor, Heavenly Sage, Overlord, Celestial Sovereign, Earthly Sovereign, Mysterious Sovereign. The three paragons are the highest realm. Experience. 80,000/9999999 health point. 10,000 true spiritual value. 100 universal value. 1 point. Note. Universal value can only be obtained by killing people. 100 points are full. Once it increases to 100 points, it can be converted into universal soul, and after transforming, it can be stacked on top of each other. Lucky value. 0 luck. 0 luck determines lottery. System reward. Charm value. 100 points. Hidden. Martial skill points. 100 points. Muggle. A series of attributes appeared. Long Fei studied it carefully before exhaling and said, Fortunately, I have converted 10 billion experience points into 100 million experience points. That 100 million experience points should be enough to raise me to at least 10 levels, right? As long as I am able to stand still and develop in such a wretched manner, waves will definitely rise in the future. Universal value is the universal soul. 100 points is enough to fuse one universal soul, and your strength is comparable to the peak of the ancient power. Although it's the power of ancient inheritance that's ranked below the 100th, it's still extremely impressive. Long Fei had once used primordial energy in the Zhenwu continent. He would never forget that domineering power for the rest of his life. My charm value is still 100 points. This should be the only part that hasn't changed. Long Fei wanted to open up 100 points, but the system released a notification sound. Ding! Opening the charm value requires 100 points of true spiritual value. Do you wish to do so? System notification. You can only activate it once every 24 hours. F*CK. I just said that there's no change to you, but your sister, there's a change. You can only open it once a day, and you still need true spiritual value. Long Fei complained. Immediately, he also withdrew the heart, which had opened the charm value. A charm value of 100 points, once opened, even a ghost or a human would be attracted by his charm value. It was like hanging. It was also a killing move. Who knew when it would have the effect of killing the gods? Finally, Long Fei looked at the rankings. He did not look at the other rankings, and at the last realm, which was the realm of the three sovereign, heavenly sovereign, earthen sovereign, profound sovereign. Judging from the ranking, the profound sovereign should be the strongest, which means the god tribe is the highest peak realm. F***CK, a boss that surpasses LV 120. Long Fei looked into the sky and thought, Emperor Xian, you bastard, just wash your ass and wait. If I don't explode, I swear I won't be a human. And the entire god's tribe. Long Fei swore to himself. As he concentrated his thoughts, Long Fei started to look at the other attributes of the system. The cultivation technique column is empty. Nothing. It seems like the three great inherited powers in my body do not belong to a cultivation technique. Then, how will I train in the future? I don't care. I'll cultivate evil spirit alchemy technique first. Ding! System notification. The cultivation of evil spirit alchemy technique is complete. The first skill appeared in the Qi method bar. Long Fei looked at the other things again. The primordial system was still in the early stages, and many attributes had yet to fully show themselves. For example, the things in the commercial city were all ordinary things. He checked along the way. Finally, when Long Fei checked the special column, his eyes revealed shock as he said, Damn, the biggest change was actually here. Awesome, my brother. Special system. Players can freely convert to normal practice mode. The normal practice mode allows the player to gain cultivation experience, which will allow the player to level up. Tip: you can only convert once a day for 1 hour at a time. Tip: it can be used to comprehend cultivation techniques. In short, Long Fei could transform into a normal practice mode when he wasn't killed strangely, and he could also gain experience from this mode. He could also level up and break through. Moreover, this method could be used to cultivate the three great ancient inheritances power that Long Fei did not know how to cultivate. Awesome. Haha. I don't need to worry about leveling up without killing monsters anymore. It's really improved this time. Long Fei was secretly excited, and also, if he could not rely on the system to cultivate, then he could slowly get rid of the control of the system. It was very good for Long Fei. After all, he did not know what the developer of the system was planning to do, but if the system activated any self-destruct device one day, wouldn't he be doomed? Hey, Brother Fei, what's the matter with you? Seeing Long Fei's excited and dazed expression, Tandapeo could not help but to ask worriedly. Huh? Long Fei recovered and asked. What's wrong? Tandapeo shook his head. You've been in a daze for 10 minutes, and I thought something had happened to you. Huh? How come all the wounds on your body have healed? Tandapeo asked curiously. Long Fei felt his own body. Indeed, all recovered. It was really because he had leveled up when the system was completed. He was originally level 0, but now he was level 1. It leveled up. It's starting for now. I still have 100 million experience. I need to quickly release these experience points. Long Fei moved. Convert normal practice mode. Chapter 2729 Upgrade. Chapter 2729 Upgrade Convert normal practice mode. Long Fei moved. Ding. System prompt. Conversion complete. Long Fei's body slightly stretched. He did not feel anything special about his body. It was the same as having a system. There's no difference. Right. I don't know how to cultivate normally. Long Fei was slightly stunned. He immediately raised his head to look at Tandapeo and asked, How do you normally cultivate? Cultivation? Long Fei really didn't know how to do it. Completely a rookie. From the very beginning, he relied on the system to level up by killing monsters. If he were to train from the main characters of ordinary fantasy novels, then Long Fei was stupefied. Tan DePeo also looked at Long Fei with a stupefied face. Brother Fei, you don't know how to cultivate? Air. I do not know how to cultivate in Universal Realm. Long Fei tried to hide it and asked, usually how do you train? Do you use your true spirit to enter the body, to temper the body, so that it can seek a breakthrough? Tan DePeo said, this is only the primary realm, tempering the body to build the foundation. At the end, it is not. Body refinement, heart refinement, and then soul refinement. Every step is different. This is the most basic training method. It should be the same in any plane. Tan DePeo didn't dare guarantee it. After all, this was the universal realm, the highest realm. Long Fei pretended to look like he understood her well, and said, as expected, it's all around the same. Tan DePeo said, Brother Fei, you still have the mind to cultivate. Shouldn't you think of a way to escape from Lan Mansion? 3 days. We only have 3 days to live, so no matter how strong your talent is, what can 3 days change? Indeed, 3 days was too short, too short. Even if you have the super blood vein and super inherent skill, what can you learn in 3 days? Long Fei said, since I have nothing better to do, I will just watch and cultivate. Immediately, Long Fei closed his eyes slightly and thought to himself, to sense the true spirit of heaven and earth, to channel it into the body, to refine the body, to nurture the meridians, the blood vein. Ooh, in theory. Now we'll see how it works. Buzz. Long Fei's idea moved, sensing the world. His mind was empty. It was as if his soul had left his body. Half a minute passed. Long Fei thought in his heart, isn't there a true soul in this world? Why can't I sense it? What's the situation? Nothing. Is it because my level is too low? Try again. Long Fei frowned slightly as he once again sensed the true spirit of heaven and earth. A few minutes passed. It was the same. Nothing could be felt. Again, Long Fei was even more serious. The idea moved. Half an hour passed. It was still void, and it felt as if he had fallen into a dark abyss. Forget about the true spirit being born from heaven and earth. He couldn't even sense it in the air. He had nearly suffered internal injuries several times. It was too hard. Isn't this too difficult? I really don't know how the main characters of those novels managed to survive to cross over from another world. They don't even know how to cultivate. Long Fei secretly complained. He thought that the normal practice mode could make up for the deficiency in the system. He could gain EXP without killing any monsters, but he was thinking too much. It was much more difficult than he had expected. For the past half an hour, he didn't have a single bit of experience points. Too bitter, Tan DePeo said. Brother Fei, the dimensional laws of the universal realm are different from the dimensional laws of the world we live in. Furthermore, we have not been baptized by the heavenly tribulation, so people like us are like stowaways, making it even more difficult to cultivate. I think we should forget about this. Our priority right now is to escape from the Lan Mansion. What he said was the truth. However, Long Fei had to level up as well. He has already cultivated evil spirit alchemy technique, but 100 true spiritual value was simply unable to support him refining medicinal pellets. And only by leveling up would he be able to raise his true spiritual value. He had to level up. Long Fei was unconvinced in his heart. I don't believe it. Come again. Buzz. He closed his eyes and returned to his normal training mode. A minute passed. 10 minutes passed. 20 minutes passed. The 1 hour time limit for the normal practice mode was almost up, but Long Fei was still unable to sense any kind of true essence chi between heaven and earth. Do you want to admit defeat? I don't believe that the main characters of so many novels have all transmigrated from Earth. I don't believe that I can't do without the game system. Long Fei clenched his teeth. He did not give up at the last minute of time. Actually, without going through the baptism of heavenly tribulation, Long Fei's physique did not change much. The game system wasn't affected much, but his normal practice mode would be greatly affected. In fact, the black and white intervention made the game quest more difficult. Ding. System notification. Normal practice mode only has 10 seconds left. 9 seconds. 8 seconds. Suddenly, in the last few seconds, Long Fei's mind suddenly stirred. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. I felt it. Boom! That strand of true spirit could be said to be the size of a grain of sand. Long Fei was incomparably cautious as he slowly introduced it. Finally, the sand-like true spirit entered his body and nourished his flesh. He didn't even have to wait half a second to be absorbed into his body. However, but there was no sign of nourishing the body at all. The true spirit was simply too little, and there was nothing that could be done about it. At this moment, ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 1 point of experience points. Long Fei. It was also at this time. Ding! The transformation of the normal practice mode is over. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Warrior level, level 2. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. You have received a reward. The reward is level 1 Ghost Soldier. The system continuously sounded out a few notifications. The chi on Long Fei's body also changed slightly and became stronger. His strength had increased. Tandapeo, who was at the side, looked at Long Fei with stupefied eyes and said, "Brother Fei, why you broke through just now?" Long Fei lightly nodded and said, "I guess so." Although he had leveled up, Long Fei was not happy at all. 1 hour. A little experience. Normal practice mode was too difficult. Compared to the game system, it was much more difficult. The only good thing about it was that when Long Fei was unable to kill monsters, he could use it to gain some experience. Izichin took a look at the experience bar. Long Fei secretly clicked his tongue. Damn, leveling up to level 3 requires 1,000,000 experience, so this 100,000,000 experience cannot be raised by that much. The difficulty of upgrading the universal realm was beyond imagination. Long Fei looked at the system reward. Level 1 Ghost Soldier. Summon. Ding. Summon successful. Chapter 2730. Azure Dragon Awakening. Chapter 2730. Azure Dragon Awakening. The system beep descended. A ghost guard wearing low-level armor stood in front of Long Fei, just like an ordinary little soldier. Nothing special. Tandapeo followed Long Fei's gaze and looked over, and could not help but ask, "Brother Fei, what are you looking at?" Long Fei was shocked and immediately asked, "Can't you see?" Tandapeo looked around. "What are you looking at?" "Nothing." Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart. Ha ha. So that's how it is. The ghost soldiers are the ghost soldiers. Ghost, ordinary people can't see this. Doesn't that mean I have an invisible clone? Haha. Immediately, Long Fei moved his body and ordered, "You run the map for me. Run through all the Lawn Mansion S for me." The ghost soldier immediately nodded. "Understood, master." He climbed over the wall and instantly ran out. At the same time, Long Fei could clearly see his surroundings with the ghost soldier's eyes. Patrol guards. The layout of the Lawn Mansion. He could see everything. Tandapeo said, "Brother Fei, how did you break through? Isn't your cultivation speed too fast? To be able to break through within an hour, this is 10,000 times more amazing than being a genius." He was in awe of the other party. Long Fei laughed. "I guess your luck is good." Tandapeo said, "Then you should make another breakthrough. 1 hour, 1 stage. 3 days, then we don't have to be afraid of anyone." Ha ha ha. Long Fei was startled. "I think you're not called Tandapeo. You should be called Stupid Cannon. Right? I've never seen you attack before. What weapon are you using? You came from that plane?" Long Fei was a little curious. Tandapeo scratched his head. "I'm from the Soul Dueling Continent. My weapon is..." He looked at his severed right arm with bitterness in his eyes and said, "You will see it in the future." Long Fei was also slightly nervous and did not ask any further. Deep in the night, Long Fei sat in the courtyard and waited for 12 o'clock. Because the system setting was that one could only use the normal practice mode once a day, and the alternating time of the day was 0. As long as another day passed after 12 o'clock, the mode could be changed once again. Not much experience. However, to Long Fei, just a little experience would allow him to level up. Luli needed to quickly release his EXP bar. Only by leveling up would he be able to protect himself. Just as Long Fei was about to change the mode, the ghost soldier's vision changed. Big brother, we are ready. 3 people. Long Fei had seen 3 people in the day. Patriarch Lan Yuan and 2 elders. The 3 of them were dressed in tight uniforms. The aura on his body was very thick. His cultivation base was very strong. Lan Yuan lowered his voice and said, "Let's go." The 3 black figures jumped up and down and quickly disappeared from Lan Mansion. Huh, where are we going? Long Fei asked himself. Do we have to deal with the ants? Ghastly soldier, chase after him. The ghost soldiers received the command and quickly followed. However, the level 1 ghost soldier's speed was too slow and it was very strenuous. Moreover, they only followed under the city wall and discovered 3 figures disappearing. Out of the city, could it be that Lan Yuan is a great sage powerhouse? Target lost. Long Fei moved his idea and called the ghost soldiers back. Just after the phantom soldiers disappeared, Lan Yuan walked out of the darkness. That aura has disappeared. Lan Hu asked, "Big brother, who is it? It seems to have been following us since the Lan Mansion. Could it be the Yanz's spy?" Lan Bao said, "It shouldn't be. Yanz's spies do not have such powerful cultivation. Just their chi alone is not enough to track us." Lan Yuan said, "Forget it. Don't think about this. We might be overthinking it. Let's leave the city." Both of them nodded heavily. And then, the 3 of them slowly disappeared into the darkness, quickly entering a small courtyard near the city wall. Soon after, their auras completely disappeared. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 1 point of experience points. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Soldier level 3. I leveled up again. Long Fei was secretly excited. He looked at the experience slot and his eyes trembled, immediately cursing out. "Your sister, you want to level up 1 level now for 8 million experience? I have 10 billion experience points with me, but now I need that much experience to level up. System, you really want me to die?" Long Fei was very angry. After leveling, Long Fei tried to cultivate the power of 3 ancient inheritances, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't. The strength of Underworld Fire was also good. No matter if it was decaying power, none of them could. Unable to promote, Long Fei secretly frowned. With the power of the ancient inheritance, I don't know how to cultivate it. What kind of tragedy is this? Sigh. Long Fei's mind stirred as he looked at the system's space. The energy of the sky soared. Sword Spirit Girl, I'm already in Universal Realm. I will definitely find him as soon as possible. I will definitely save you. Huh? There are actually still 2 space rings that have not been absorbed. These 2 rings are broken. Right. Long Fei did not pay attention to them before, but now he realized that there were still 2 rings that had not been absorbed by the presbyter of God's tribe. The Sky Sword S, the Supreme Dragon Knife S, had all been absorbed by the presbyter of God's tribe, but these 2 space ring S did not. Azure Dragon's corpse, and that huge coffin pulled by the Azure Dragon. Thinking about that, Long Fei immediately entered the space ring S body and looked at the extremely ferocious green dragon body. After such a long period of time, there were no changes to the Azure Dragon's physique. No decay. His body coiled around as if he were still alive. Long Fei muttered, "This guy's entire body is filled with treasures. It should be good to be able to forge a few suitable weapons sometime." The idea withdrew and left the space ring. At this moment, the incomparably enormous green dragon's eyes trembled slightly, then suddenly opened. Long Fei did not notice. The idea once again entered the other space ring. Black stone coffin. The runes in the ancient world were like chains, wrapping around the entire sarcophagus. What exactly was inside? Long Fei did not dare to easily open it. However, there was a power inside that continued to seduce Long Fei when he sensed her, like a peerless beauty, was wriggling her, but in front of him, and taking off her clothes one by one. This seduction was unstoppable. Ooh! Long Fei quickly withdrew. The more enticing it was, the harder it was to open. Moreover, that green dragon was not simple. To let him bring it with him, this black sarcophagus must be strange. Before he had absolute confidence in opening it, Long Fei would not easily open it. Other than the two-space ring, there was also something else. Nantian Monument, a black and white nemesis. It stood there quietly, not moving at all, just like a soldier. This Nantian Monument was only a small piece of the repression of boundary stones, and most of the repression of boundary stones were still suppressing a certain place in the ancient world, suppressing a person or a corpse. It was a dead body. Even if it was a corpse, the repression of boundary stones would not dare to let go so easily, because the consequences were something that even the ancient world could not afford. Thank you for your support. Chapter 27:31, Descendant of Holy General. Chapter 27:31, Descendant of Holy General. He checked everything he had. Whether it was the Azure Dragon's corpse, the black sarcophagus, or a few strands of energy, he basically couldn't use them right now. To convert this energy, Long Fei did not have that much power left right now. After all, he had just entered the universal realm. After he finished cultivating the normal mode, Long Fei tried to cultivate without the system. After half a day of cultivation, he still did not have any experience, nor was he unable to sense any heaven and earth true spirit. It seems like the system is bound. Even if I use the normal practice mode to cultivate, it would be useless. Is this a restriction on me? Are you afraid that I'll be too strong? He went too fast. Long Fei thought narcissistically. I can't cultivate it without using the normal practice mode. Without experience, he could not feel the true spirit refining his body. Long Fei tried to cultivate the strength of 3 great ancient inheritances and discovered that he couldn't. Other than the black and white power, the decaying power didn't know how to cultivate at all. Furthermore, the power that Long Fei had released was negligible. Long Fei was very angry in his heart. He clearly possessed immense power, but he didn't know how to cultivate it. It's really tragic. The human emperor isn't here. Otherwise, I can ask him for guidance. Long Fei muttered. He knew that the duration of the ancient inheritance was very short, and he didn't know how to cultivate it. I'm going to look for boss. You damn fatty, go away. Hey, who are you? What do you want? Tang Renjia was trapped by a fat guy in a creek and continuously struggled, but it was completely useless. His strength was just too insignificant in front of the fat guy. Several corpses lay behind the fatty. These people were all foreign experts, and their cultivation was not simple. The fatty was naturally the human emperor. The human emperor said, either your boss is in another world, or he has entered the universal realm. Tang Renjia secretly shivered and said, Universal realm? F***CK. I heard that the universal realm has the prettiest girls in the millions of planes. I want to go. Take me there. Tang Renjia's interest was piqued. There was nothing more interested in him than girls. The human emperor shook his head. You won't be able to go right now. Tang Renjia asked, why? The human emperor said, because you are too weak. If it wasn't for me, just now, you would have already died in that manner. F***CK. Don't I have you? What am I afraid of? Tang Renjia said, as a matter of fact. The human emperor glared at him and shouted, I am your bodyguard. Can I protect you for your entire life? If you want to enter the universal realm, then you must become stronger. Otherwise, you will be a burden even if you enter. He didn't say who sent those outer space powerhouses he killed just now. They also didn't say that they were in a very dangerous situation. Not only Tang Renjia, the human emperor himself was the same. If the 10,000 World Hunt Squad were to be involved, they would also be hunted down. Right now, there were only a few outer space powerhouses, so if they were chased down by the powerhouse of God's tribe, he might not be able to hold them off. Wherever he went, he would chase after and kill him. Sooner or later, they would be wiped out. Tang Renjia trembled slightly and said, I want to become stronger. Aren't you the human emperor? You should be very powerful, right? I acknowledge you as my master, and you teach me how to become stronger. The human emperor was startled. You've decided? Tang Renjia said. I've decided I must step into the universal realm I must become strong. The human emperor felt a tinge of excitement in his heart. All right. Tang Renja also immediately knelt on the ground and said, "Greetings, master." Tears filled the corners of the human emperor's eyes as he smiled. Good, good, good. Hurry and get up. Hurry and get up. Tang Renja said in disdain. Isn't it just taking a master? Is there a need to get so excited? Tang Renja didn't understand why the human emperor was so excited. The human emperor didn't explain anything. Tang Renja had experienced a great tribulation, so if he were to unleash all of his potential this time, he would definitely be extremely strong. The human emperor muttered in his heart, "Only the husky is left." Tang Renja looked into the sky and muttered, "Universal realm, wait for me. I will definitely go. I want to become stronger." If becoming strong wasn't for the sake of the girls, then it would be meaningless. Without waiting for him to finish speaking, the human emperor slammed his hand on the human emperor's head. Say it again. Tang Renja immediately changed his words. If becoming stronger is not for the sake of being a girl, then there's no meaning. Crack! Another chestnut burst out, and the human emperor shouted, "Say it again." Tang Renja's head swelled up as he said, "Didn't I say it earlier? Do I have to say it again? All right, since you are my master, I will say it again. Listen to me carefully, this is the last time. If I don't become stronger for the sake of my sister," not waiting for him to finish, the human emperor's eyes widened as he madly struck out with his fist. "I'll make you do this for my sister. I'll make you do this for your sister. I'll make you do this for your sister." The night passed in silence. In the morning of the next day, Long Fei walked out of his room. The next second, it trembled slightly. There was a person sitting in the courtyard. A woman. A blue-haired woman quietly sat there. From afar, she looked like a pure fairy. Two big blue hair and ponytails. A light blue dress. If it weren't for the difference in her clothes, she really would have wanted the little sister Yuan from the second world. Long Fei was lost in thought. Blue hair? It seems to be different from the others in Lan clan. Her blue hair was different from the others in the Lan clan. Her blue hair was as dark blue as the ocean, making it look very special. It was breathtaking. At first glance, it looked as if it was branded into his heart. Lan Mei didn't seem to notice Long Fei's presence. Her eyes were somewhat dazed as she stared at a certain direction. There was a trace of worry and anxiety between his eyebrows. People couldn't help but feel pity for him. Cough, cough. Long Fei coughed lightly. Lan Mei's expression changed. He looked at Long Fei. His expression became slightly cold and went straight to the point. "You are an evil spirit pill alchemist?" Long Fei nodded and said, "Yes." Lan Mei said, "You still have a day. You must refine a plague pill for me. You must refine it before the sun sets today." Ah. Long Fei was surprised for a moment and said, "Isn't it 3 days? How did it become a day?" Lan Mei replied, "If I say it's only a day, then it's a day. If you can't refine it, then you know the consequences." Long Fei smiled faintly. "Refining plague pill is not a problem. The problem is, who are you going to use this kind of vicious pill to deal with?" Lan Mei said, "You don't have to care about that. Anyway, as long as we aren't dealing with people, it's fine. Not human. So that's the demon beast?" Long Fei thought about how Lan Yuan and the other two had quietly sneaked out of the Lan clan last night and said, "Are you really going to deal with the demon beast?" Lan Mei said stubbornly, "You don't need to care. Just focus on refining the pills." "I don't need to care. Then I won't." Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, a voice came out from below the black and white dragon-shaped mark on his right arm. "Help her." Long Fei trembled and asked, "Why?" "Because she is a descendant of Holy General." Chapter 2732, Bewitching Lan Mei. Chapter 2732, Bewitching Lan Mei, descendant of Holy General. Long Fei was secretly shocked. After pondering for 2 seconds, he said, "I don't know. What is the Holy General? I don't know. And what was a descendant of Holy General? I still don't know." Since he didn't know, then why did he help? Black and White immediately became furious. "Holy General, you are my former little brother. Do you understand?" Long Fei said, I don't understand. What does your little brother have to do with me? Black and white. Long Fei replied, It's not like he's my little brother. Black and white. Long Fei looked at Lan Mei and said, Don't tell me the consequences. I definitely won't be able to refine a plague pill in a day, unless you tell me where the patriarch of the Lan clan went and what he did. Suddenly, Lan Mei's gaze tensed up as he stared at Long Fei and said solemnly, How do you know that my father has left the Lan mansion? Your father? The one who is in charge of Lan clan? Long Fei said, You don't need to know this. Anyway, even if I knew that he had left, it should be related to the plague pill, right? East Imperial City. The city wall is tens of thousands of meters high. Unless you are a great sage powerhouse, you cannot fly over there. Your father's cultivation should not have reached the great sage realm, right? What are they doing out of town? Lan Mei's gaze grew tighter as he said, You sure know quite a lot. While they were talking, she got up slowly and took a few steps back, near the yard door. Maintain a state of vigilance towards Long Fei. Long Fei said, Speak. What is your father looking for when he leaves the city? If you do not say it, I will not be able to help you. Lan Mei's eyes became heavy, and he stared at Long Fei. Who exactly are you? Long Fei calmly sat down, shrugged. If you don't want to say it, then forget it, I don't care. I'm not the one who wants the plague pill. Lan Mei slightly stopped. Looking at Long Fei, she had a struggle in her heart. The Black Prison Valley in the ghastly cave was extremely dangerous. The demon beast was even more of a monster for Chi Mei. There was no way to approach it all. But, for his own sake, his father still chose to enter the Black Prison Valley even without the plague pill. It was fundamentally impossible for him to enter the valley, and it was also impossible for him to obtain the Black Prison Godgrass. The three of them were obviously going to die. Lan Mei struggled, his heart relaxed, and asked, You can really refine plague pill? Long Fei nodded his head and said, Refining this kind of pill is not difficult. Plague pill? He had no idea how to refine it at the moment. He wanted to know what kind of enemy plague pill were used against. Lan Mei clenched his teeth and said, Anyway, this is not a secret. My father went to the Black Prison Valley to find Black Prison Godgrass to unblock the blocked meridian channels in my body. Only the Black Prison Godgrass in the Ghost Cave can unblock it. Originally, I wanted to wait for the plague pill to become infected by the plague, but I didn't expect that I would not get it. I didn't have enough time now. The Black Prison Godgrass will mature in a few days, and after it matures, it will wither rapidly. It will be useless after it wilts, which is why my father left the city. Lan Mei did not hide from him. Long Fei curiously looked at Lan Mei and said slightly, Your meridians are blocked? Lan Mei nodded his head. Long Fei said, So that means you are unable to cultivate? With a thought, the idea said to the black and white, Did you hear that? Your descendant of holy general veins are blocked. You cannot cultivate. Black and white said, Vein of blue water are different from ordinary blood vein. If it wasn't for the tendons and veins clogging up the vein of blue water in her body, it wouldn't be this pure. What do you mean? Could it be that blockages in her meridians are still beneficial to her? Long Fei was a little confused. Black and white said, That's right, but it cannot be for too long. If she is unable to clear it after the age of 20, she will be devoured by pure vein of blue water. 20. Long Fei looked at Lan Mei and asked, How old are you? Lan Mei replied, 18. Long Fei said, That's not urgent. There's still 2 more years of time. Lan Mei asked, What 2 years? Huh? Long Fei said, Nothing. Just tell me about Black Prison Valley situation. It's as dangerous as you say. Even if there's a plague pill, it's useless. And I want to know what kind of demon beast I need to be able to refine the targeted plague pill. Lan Mei asked, What do you mean? Long Fei said, My meaning is very simple. Bring me to the Black Prison Valley. This was his true goal. Exit the city, kill the demon beast, and level up. To be able to comprehend just a bit of experience points in one day. When would it be possible to completely release all of the experience? No way. Lan Mei didn't think at all and rejected it instinctively. My father said that you're not allowed to take even half a step out of here. Long Fei shrugged his shoulders and said, "Then I'll say it. Just wait for news of your father's death." Lan Mei's eyes became anxious. Long Fei said indifferently, "As long as I see Black Prison Valley's demon beast, I will know how to refine plague pills that are specially carved for them, so that I can sweep them clean. Otherwise, even if I refine plague pills, it would be useless. Think about it carefully. I'll give you one day to think about it. Going to the Black Prison Valley will not benefit me at all. If it wasn't for a friend asking me to help you, I wouldn't even bother to meddle in this." Long Fei grinned. Black and White said, "Was that friend of yours me?" Long Fei rolled his eyes at him. Long Fei couldn't see, but Black and White smiled faintly, laughing like a 300 kilograms fatty. Lan Mei left. Tandapeo woke up, rubbed his eyes, and walked out of the room, saying, "Brother Fei, who was it this early in the morning?" Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "Get ready. Maybe we can go out at night." "Huh?" When Tandapeo heard the two words, "get out," he was immediately in high spirits and said, "Can you get out?" "Prepare my ass. I can leave right now." Long Fei said, "No rush." Tandapeo became excited. I can go out, haha. Tandapeo will definitely not die here, huh? Long Fei opened the system and thought, "Plague pill. What level of pill is it? How do I refine it?" Looking at the evil spirit alchemy technique, Long Fei thought, "I have to think of a way to activate this level increase. If the plague pill can really be poisoned to death, then leveling up would be much easier. The ancient alchemy technique can use the alchemy of the weeds. I wonder if this will work. Let's give it a try first." Long Fei picked up a stalk of grass, and the idea moved. Evil spirit alchemy technique. Ding! Refinement failed. Proficiency +0. Proficiency is 0. No. Long Fei's heart sank. He tried a few more times, but it was the same. Proficiency was still 0 points. It seems like the system update has fixed this bug. It seems like we can only wait until it gets dark. Let's level up first, then think of another way. At this moment, Black and White said slightly, "The difference between evil pill and normal pills lies in the word evil. You have to find an evil spirit grass in order to refine it, or use a person directly." Chapter 2733. Horror Like That. Chapter 2733. Horror Like That Evil. Using a person to refine it? When he thought about the methods of the Western, and how his alchemy room was filled with skeletons and corpses, Long Fei understood a lot. So it was no wonder he was called the Evil Spirit Alchemy Master. It was very different from a normal alchemy technique. Long Fei said, "You can refine?" Black and White said contemptuously, "I disdain refining this kind of mediocre pill. In the past, when I refined a medicinal pill, a single medicinal pill could cause a plane to wither, and become dead. After 10,000 years, not even a blade of grass grew. It was considered a forbidden zone for life. Forget about back then. You can refine one now." Long Fei interrupted. Monochrome was taken aback for a moment. "Right now? Right now. Hurry up and refine it. If you need anything, just say it." Long Fei was getting impatient. Black and White said, "About that. I was able to refine it back then, but now, if you can't even refine it, then stop bragging about it. Don't make me despise you." Long Fei knew that the Black and White could not be refined out, and thought to himself, "Seems like I have to rely on myself for everything. Using people to create alchemy is impossible. Evil spirit type spirit grass? Phew, let's talk after we leave the city." Long Fei had been waiting all day. He looked calm. Actually, he was also worried in his heart, because he was worried that Lan Mei would not be bewitched by him. If Lan Mei did not come, even if he could leave Lan Mansion, he would not be able to leave the city. "It's dark. Brother Fei, can we leave now?" Tandapeo could not wait and walked to the entrance of the courtyard. Looking at the 4 guards outside, he turned to Long Fei and asked. Long Fei shook his head. "It's not time yet," Tandapeo said. "Then how long will it take?" Long Fei said, "Wait." Tandapeo sat down on the stairs and went silent. Time passed minute by minute. The night was exceptionally long. 1 hour passed, 2 hours passed, 3 hours passed. There was no sound from outside the courtyard. It was almost midnight. Long Fei looked at the pitch-black night sky and thought to himself, could it be that my bewitching has failed? At this moment, the ghost soldier moved slightly. Long Fei's eyes flashed with a bright light. It's here. Tandapeo immediately stood up and asked, Brother Fei, who's here? A few muffled sounds could be heard from outside the courtyard. Long Fei smirked and said, Canon, open the door. Tandapeo quickly ran up and opened the gate of the courtyard. His body suddenly trembled. His face was pale white, and he anxiously retreated, exclaiming, Ghost! Lan Mei stood in front of the door. Long Fei covered the cannon's mouth and scolded, Be quiet. Lan Mei was dressed in a tight suit, with curves that revealed her curves. If it was said that she was a soft girl wearing a dress during the day, then she was a beautiful female assassin. After Tandapeo calmed himself down, he looked at Lan Mei and gulped a mouthful of saliva. Lan Mei looked at Long Fei and said, Let's go. Long Fei glanced at the fallen guards at the door and quickly followed them. Tandapeo fiercely kicked the guard at the door and said softly, Brother Fei, wait for me. Who is this sister? What's her name? I thought it was a ghost at first, but I didn't expect it to be a peerless beauty. Can you help me ask? What do you think of me? Long Fei glared at him and said, She said you're very long-winded. The three of them walked out of the Lan mansion in a relaxed manner and were not obstructed at all. Maybe it was because the wild was too deep, or perhaps it was because Lan Mei was leading the way. In short, the three of them did not think too much about it. To Long Fei, being able to leave the Lan mansion was enough. They left the Lan mansion. Lan Mei looked at Long Fei and said, I've brought all of you out of the Lan clan. How are you going to leave the city? Tandapeo said, You are from the East Imperial City. How do you not know? And what are we doing out of town? Long Fei replied, I know. Grand Elder, are we just going to let them leave like that? Do you want to? Lonnie stroked his goatee and said indifferently, There's no need. They can go wherever they want to go. There's one thing I can't let them return to Lan clan. As for life and death, that's his business. Yes, sir. The corner of Lan He's mouth hooked up as he sneered. The two gifted Vanes? So what? With your veins blocked, you are just a piece of trash. If you survive, you will only be a burden to Lan clan. Might as well die. Another old man lowered his voice and said, We should have received the news from Yans. Lonnie smiled faintly and said, After we finish this matter, we will discuss about the matter of cooperation with Yans. Lan Yuan has been obstructing our cooperation with Yans all this while, and he has become the greatest obstacle to the rise of our Lan clan. Only by cooperating with him will our Lan clan be able to quickly rise and waste all our time on our daughter. Pass down my orders. Even if Lan Mei goes into closed-door training, no one is allowed to come close to prevent Lan Yuan's direct descendants from finding trouble. Yes, sir, it's here. Long Fei followed the path taken by the ghost soldiers and found a simple and crude small courtyard at the corner. After Long Fei and the others entered, an oil lamp lit up in the courtyard as an old hunchback slowly walked out from his room. There was a scar on his face, his hair was a little messy, and he looked somewhat eerie. When he walked to the courtyard and saw Long Fei and the other two, he said slightly, If you want to go out of the city, you have to pay the bill. Tandapeo immediately said, I don't have any money. Lan Mei was also confused and said, I don't have money either. Long Fei asked, How much? The hunchbacked old man looked at Long Fei and said, 1,000,000 grand Miss crystals. Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, Tandapeo shouted loudly and said, Old man, are you robbing me? The hunchbacked old man smirked and said with a sinister smile, This is better than robbing. If you can't afford it, you can pay your passage in another way. Tandapeo asked, What method? The hunchbacked old man said, The life of any one of you three. As soon as he finished, the aura on his body turned dark and gloomy. It was very gloomy. Although he might look like a hunchbacked old man, Long Fei could feel that if he attacked, the three of them would die a miserable death. Moreover, Tandapeo did not have a cultivation. Even if Lan Mei had a bit of cultivation, he was unable to handle it. Long Fei himself was only a level 3 warrior. He was not his opponent. Long Fei's eyes grew cold as he took out a space ring from his bosom and said, "How about this? I'll first mortgage this to you and wait for us to take a risk before giving you the money." The ring containing the corpse of the green dragon. However, other than Long Fei, no one else could open it. The hunchbacked old man looked at the ring and a light flashed in his eyes because he could see that the seal on the ring had broken. The mark of the god's tribe. He looked at Long Fei seriously and said, "Follow me." He followed the old man through a narrow passageway and passed through the city walls half an hour later. The old man looked at Long Fei and said faintly, "Kid, I wish you good luck." Long Fei said, "Thank you." The old man turned around and walked back, his expression serious. God's tribe space ring. Why would a person from God's tribe appear in a place like Western regions? Or should I say, did the people from God's tribe discover me? I've been hiding here like a mouse. Why aren't you letting me go? The old man's body seemed to be on fire. When he walked back to the courtyard, it was already filled with people. They were all in the same service, with a flame embroidered on their chests. "Old man, where are those 3 people? I'm asking you a question. Are you King deaf?" The hunchbacked old man raised his eyes slightly, and his aura suddenly burst forth. Buzz! With a low cry, the heads of the dozens of elite Yan's cultivators in the courtyard were all severed. Terrible as this, thank you for your support. Chapter 2734. Launcher. Chapter 2734. Launcher, Brother Fei. What's that ring you gave me? Why do you lead us there just by looking at us? Tendapeo asked. Lan Mei also asked. That's right, 1,000,000 grand Miss Crystals is not a small number. Long Fei said, Don't worry, it's just a small thing. We can redeem it after we earn enough money from this trip. Long Fei was not worried about the space ring, because the ring had his imprint, so no one in this world could open it except him. As such, the old geezer with a green dragon corpse inside could not move at all. However, Long Fei did not know that the space ring was actually a space ring that only the presbyter of God's tribe had the qualifications to wear, and he also did not know that it was because the hunchback old man did not even look at the God's tribe's imprint on the ring that he was able to let Long Fei and the others pass without looking at it. At that moment, the old man's heart was covered with a layer of coldness. Similarly, it too carried a killing intent. However, he did not dare to make a move. The God tribe was too powerful. He was worried that the moment he made a move, he would be in big trouble. It just so happened that the group of Yan's men bumped into the spear, and with a single thought, all of them were killed. Terrifying, domineering to the extreme. Huff! I'm free. I'm finally free. The 3 of them walked further and further, and the city walls that were high up in the air became further and further away from them. Tandapeo took a deep breath. The aura of freedom is too comfortable. Boss, you really are awesome. Every time I follow you, it's always dangerous. Where are we going now? Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, Tandapeo said, Right now, we should leave the East Imperial City as far away as possible. It's best if we go to another city, and then we'll be out of danger. Is that so, Brother Fei? Long Fei kept giving him meaningful looks, afraid that Tandapeo would spout nonsense. However, Tandapeo could not help but ask as he saw the twitching look in Long Fei's eyes. Brother Fei, are your eyes cramping? Why do you keep flashing around nonstop? Were you tired these past 2 days? Lan Mei stared at Long Fei, staring intently. Tandapeo said, Beauty, did you also notice that my boss's eyelids are cramping? Long Fei wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Then he vowed sincerely, Don't worry, I will definitely do what I promised you. Lan Mei said, If you 2 dare to escape, I will definitely not let you 2 go, moreover. Do you think anyone can walk out of Western regions? Not to mention the Great Sage Powerhouse. Even higher-level powerhouse would not be able to leave without a plane. The Western regions was extremely wide. The 4 perilous areas were once again hellish existences. The East Imperial City was in the center. Without a plane, it was impossible to leave this place. You know, back then, the East Imperial City was not even called a city. It was called Eastern Emperor Prison. Some of the exiles were sent here and imprisoned. Such a tall and lofty wall was actually just a wall to prevent escape. As time passed, the number of people in the Eastern Emperor Prison grew more and more, and they also slowly began to have their own order. After that, this place became an East Imperial City. However, even a 3-year-old child would know that no one could leave the Western regions. Anyone who entered the East Imperial City would never be able to leave. He wanted to leave the Western regions? A fantasy story. Tandapeo looked at Long Fei and asked, "Brother Fei, what did you promise her?" Long Fei rolled her eyes at him and said, "Don't talk." Lan Mei said indifferently, "I believe in you. That's why I took the risk to bring you out. You should have trust between people, right? Of course. You can also escape, but the result of your escape is death." As soon as he finished, the aura on Lan Mei's body trembled slightly. In less than half a second, Tandapeo stood still, his face pale blue, unable to breathe. Although Long Fei didn't do it like that, he still felt a bit uncomfortable. Although Lan Mei could not cultivate, her cultivation was higher than Long Fei's. It could easily crush both Long Fei and Long Fei. Long Fei said, Long Fei, will definitely do what I say." He muttered in his heart, "Besides, you are descendant of Holy General, the former little brother of Black and White." Lan Mei slightly loosened his breath and said, "This is more like it. You better clear it up for me. Your little lives are still in my hands." While they were talking, Lan Mei identified the direction and said, "Southwest direction, quickly." He walked out with large strides. Tandapeo took a deep breath. This girl is really popular. "Brother Fei, are we really going?" Long Fei nodded, "Go." While they were talking, dozens of kilometers away, there was a huge boom, rumble. A flame that shot into the sky exploded. Flames shot up into the sky, covering half the sky as bright as day. Lan Mei's pupils tightened. Uncle Bao Zi's radiant bullet. Did something happen? Lan Mei immediately said to Long Fei, "Hurry." Long Fei anxiously followed. Tandapeo looked into the sky in a daze. The power of this explosion is very strong. Could there be a launcher in this world? That's right, this is the universal realm. There are all kinds of warriors here. Glancing at his severed right arm, Tandapeo revealed a bitter expression. Long Fei shouted, "Cannon, what are you waiting for? Quickly follow me. Leopard, run. Faster. Quick, quick, quick." At the mouth of the Black Prison Valley, Lan Yuan, who was covered in blood, lifted Lan Hu on his shoulder and heavily shouted towards the nearby Lan Bao. "Big brother, leave quickly. Leave me alone." Lan Bao was holding onto a machine gun that was similar to a super machine gun. The only difference was that this machine gun was wrapped with breath of true spirit S. It was also released from Lan Bao's body. It was like an energy. This kind of energy was like a bullet that was constantly being filled. Lan Bao held it in both hands and swept at the black substance that was rushing out. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. "Come on, all of you. Come me F***CK. Come at me, you beasts." Bang, bang, bang. Flames shot up into the sky. Lan Bao roared frantically. His face was red with anger and ferocity. The dark blobs of demon beast in the valley were suppressed by the powerful firepower, but they weren't injured, but they continued to move forward. However, their speed and start slowed down a bit. "Leopard, let's go. Hurry up," Lan Yuan bellowed. The Black Prison Valley had already been shaken, and the ferocious demon beast had already flanked them from both sides. Lan Bao was simply unable to hold on for long. Cough, cough. Lan Hu's face was pale as he said, "Big brother, let me down. I'm fine. Go and bring the leopard back first." "Big brother, go quickly." Lan Yuan frowned. He did not move, and he did not look at Lan Hu either because, in the distance, Lan Bao was already surrounded by the demon beast in the Black Hell Valley. He had fallen into a death trap. There was no way out. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.